Hello and welcome to the Con Couple. I'm Richard,
I'm Caroline.
and we go to a terrifying number of cons every year.
This one was a 5-dayer.
Yeah, well, technically it was, yeah.
We have special guest Emma with us again, mostly because we couldn't get a dog sitter this weekend.
Yep. So, say hello, Emma.
As a reminder, Emma is a registered service dog.
Yep.
She is trained. She did attend these cons on the lighter days with us this time. So Wednesday, when we got there, and Sunday, today, when we're leaving.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we left her at home because I don't need her most of the time.
Yeah,
and I feel like we're already messing this up.
Oh, completely.
Great.
Yeah. When you say home in this context, you mean the Airbnb.
Yes.
But, we did check with them. They were fine with us bringing her. So,
yeah. This is exciting and riveting content. It's about to get more exciting and riveting.
That's how this podcast usually goes, yes.
So, for those of you not familiar, this is a podcast we record in our cars where we review cons.
Yep.
And reviewing Colossal Con, which I sometimes call Colossus Con because I don't really care.
Yeah, this was Colossal Con 2025.
Yes.
This one's a biggie.
It is.
This is the biggest anime convention we go to?
I'm not even going to get into that because it's too complicated.
Yeah,
it depends on what you classify as an anime convention.
Yeah.
And a bunch of other stuff.
But yeah, we have not been able to get hard numbers on the exact number of people who come to this con.
And as we mentioned before, we're horrible at estimating.
Yep. But the last year we have hard numbers for was like a decade ago, and they were at about 16,000, 17,000.
Mm-hmm.
They're definitely bigger than that now. I would say probably somewhere in the region of 20 to 25.
Yeah, that seems about right to me. Sorry, as I mentioned in the standard disclaimer section before you cut me off and talked about something else.
Yep.
This is a podcast we record in our car. We're using hands-free lapel mics to be legal in the state of Ohio. I, Caroline, the person not driving, will be manning all the button pushing stuff.
Yep, and the holding of the schedule.
Yes.
And some guy just cut us off.
Kind of terrifyingly close.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yep.
But anywho, but yeah, so
it's a very big anime con. It's been around since I think around 2002, 2003. I'm not gonna pull up the wiki because I'm lazy.
Yeah, it's north of 20 years because people were talking about.
I'm pulling up the wiki because I feel bad.
That's the reason. Yeah, that's.
You just said it's been around
academic
2,000 years, so you know.
No, I said it's been around for at least 20 years. Since because there were people talking about having gone to it for over 20 years.
I'm glad I'm not that old yet.
Yeah. This is our second time doing this particular con. We did it 2 years ago. We missed it last year, and we're back this year.
And we'll explain more of why as we get into it.
Yep.
So Colossal Con's main thing, although it didn't start out this way, is that it takes place in a water park.
Yep. It's at the Kalahari Resort in Sandusky, Ohio, which is a pretty big, impressive water park. Has outdoor sections, has indoor sections, but as a result, this is a party con.
Yeah. It's big, it goes late. It's not a +18 con, but it is something for which I think the majority of the attendees are here to hang out.
Yeah.
So last attendance information I can find is from 2015, so probably not that useful. At 17-ish thousand.
Yeah.
I feel like they have more today.
Yeah, quite a few more.
Although some people were saying that this year's attendees seem lower than last year's. I can't really compare from 2023 to 2025 because 2023 was one of the first conventions we ever went to.
Yeah. It's kind of overwhelming.
Yeah. And we were just so overwhelmed that I think we couldn't even conceptualize the numbers. And now I also still can't. It's hard to know where people are, people aren't. It also might have been hurt a little bit this year by the fact that it was just a kind of bizarrely cold weekend for end of May, early June.
Yeah, it was a bit chilly.
Yeah.
Not freezing or anything, but
definitely cold enough that you probably wouldn't want to go swimming outside.
Yeah, it's currently 67 degrees while driving home at just shy of 5 o'clock on the Sunday. So
you have an indoor section to the water park too. That's where people hang out.
Yep.
And it was inaugurated in 2002.
Yeah.
Run by nostalgiaconventions.com LLC. And they have several branches. Those of you who follow Colossal people con probably know. I think they have Colossal Con North, Colossal Con East.
It's on the back of your badge if you want to check.
Fine. Colossal Con. I don't want to see if I can guess it. Colossal Con South. I think that one's in Texas. I can't remember if it's called Colossal Con South or Colossal Con Texas.
I think it's Colossal Con Texas.
It is Colossal Con Texas.
Yeah.
And they're opening another Colossal Con in Virginia that might name, I assume, Colossal Con Virginia soon.
Yep.
This is known as Colossal Con Prime now.
Because it's the original.
Yes, and I do think it is the biggest.
Yes.
All of them, as far as I know, take place at Kalahari Resorts.
Yeah. Which is a partnership that does seem to work out well for them. Based on a conversation I had with somebody over the weekend, this one convention over 5 days brings more into the Kalahari, in terms of profit, than the entire holiday period does. So it's big business for them.
It's big business, and it's definitely a very intense experience, but I think a fun one.
Oh, absolutely. Like, we had a lot of fun this weekend. I do think it took us longer to find our equilibrium at this con than it often does.
We were nervous with this one. Cons this big, particularly this type of party con atmosphere, is different than a lot of the events we do, and it does mean just more numbers, unfortunately, at any con mean that doing stuff takes logistically more steps than it would at a con that has fewer people.
Yeah.
Trade-off for that is, like, there's more stuff to do, there's more people to hang out with, and their atmosphere and bribes can be fun.
Yeah.
And I will say, for this type of con, a thing that I do like about it is that, unlike other cons of its size, it's not celebrity-focused. It's very much party-focused, but it's not celebrity-focused at all.
No, they had about half a dozen voice actor guests who were doing autographs and that kind of stuff this weekend, but they were not the focus in any way. The focus was on drinking, which we also don't do.
Yeah. So, to disappoint everyone,
we did not get that. I do argue that we kind of do this con wrong, insofar as we don't drink. We didn't stay that late most nights.
We got up at 6 a.m. on Saturday.
Yeah.
That was after having slept. We didn't just not sleep. We woke up at 6 a.m. on Saturday having slept at least 6 hours.
Yep. Which, again, I will get into kind of how we did the weekend once we get in the chronological order on this one. But, like, I suspect there are an awful lot of people who had a very different experience to us this weekend. I also suspect there's a lot of people who don't remember this weekend terribly well.
Yeah.
Because a lot of drinking, a lot of partying, a lot of just people having fun. And in all honesty, that was really nice to see.
Yeah. Something to keep in mind is, for the con, everyone walks away from a con with a story. And when you have a 20,000 or more person con, you're going to walk away with a lot more stories. So particularly with this con, I think our review coverage is going to be limited in terms of scope, just because we couldn't be everywhere all at once, obviously. Not as bad as it's going to be at a tabletop convention, but still pretty bad.
Yeah.
So just bear with us and keep in mind that because we didn't do a lot of the late night stuff, we are missing, I think, a significant portion of what makes this con fun for a lot of people. But not everyone. There were still some families with kids who went.
Yep.
There were still people who didn't do the late night stuff, some of whom we paddled around with.
Yep.
And there are still people who are there for other reasons too.
Yep. Though I'm not sure. So one of the things we were idly trying to figure out while we were walking around at this event is we're not sure to what extent this con just completely takes over the Kalahari. I know their room booking sells out instantly.
Yeah, it's like the Hunger Games.
I'm suspecting at this point their room booking is just the entire hotel.
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason for it not to be, because they're guaranteed to sell it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there are basically no rooms at the Kalahari this weekend that are not being used either by the con or the con's guests.
And as if you watch our podcast, you know we don't stay on site. We'll talk more about that this week.
Yeah, you want to complain more than usual this week.
I do, but that's not against the Kalahari or the con. So
no, it's not.
We'll save that for later.
Yeah.
And it is something that's interesting because of that big atmosphere where it's a major hotel and resort. So in addition to having a water park that you can go to and hang out with and pal around with, basically drink the whole weekend, it's basically like being in an insane, nerdy anime college on steroids. Like, people decorate their doors, people hide candy outside their doors, there's like games created to just play with people.
Yeah, pretty much a lot of the rooms have like very small balconies, But there were a lot of flags getting draped over those, and just like a really fun atmosphere. Like, I like the vibes of this con.
I do
The
too.
late night stuff, and it terrifies me, but I like the vibes.
Everyone's very friendly. It's a very kind of chill and fun con. It is a con that lacks a little bit in organization, as you can probably expect from a party con.
Yeah.
So you do have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, which again, we'll get onto some details on that front. And it is a con where if there's a particular panel you want to go to, have fun queuing for at least half an hour beforehand, and up to an hour or more if it's going to be a big popular thing.
It's also something for which it's sometimes just hard to predict what's going to be popular versus not. It's pretty random.
This is not a con where we recommend going in with frequently at a convention, once we've seen the schedule, we will have our day planned out. We'll say, we'll go to this room, then this room, then this room, then this room. With this one, we can't do that. They have a schedule. The schedule is well laid out and easy to do that with. You just don't know if you're actually going to be able to get into a given panel or if it's just going to be too busy.
And as somebody with accessibility, keep in mind that us not being able to get into a given panel is a little bit...
Yeah, you need certain seating, you need specific things that are harder to guarantee.
Yeah. If you're just wanting to get into a panel and don't care where you sit or don't need anything and are fine just being completely next to strangers in the middle of a row and kind of half seen, you're probably good to get into most, if not all, panels.
Or just chilling at the back, leaning up against a wall. Saw plenty of that this weekend.
Yeah, then you can probably get into what you want.
Yeah, but again, you do have that additional requirement.
Yeah.
So, should we talk about the actual layout of the venue?
Yes, I think that would be good. I'll leave it to you since you're the more logistical person.
Sure. So, what you're basically looking at for the Kalahari in terms of the way it's laid out is a figure of 8 shape. Mm-hmm. This is talking purely about the convention space, but you're basically looking at a figure of 8 with 2 corridors that sort of connect to each other as the top part of the figure 8 and the bottom half of the figure 8. Each of which has big rooms in the middle, which can be subdivided into smaller rooms, and then there's additional smaller rooms around the perimeter. And then there's a sort of tail on it that leads off towards the hotel itself. That's basically the primary layout of the space. So Events 1 and the Dealer's Hall are in the... I'm going to refer to them as top and bottom just because of the way they're shown on the map. I don't know if one's to the north and one's to the south. I don't care enough to figure that out. So the top one has Events 1. It has the Dealer's Hall. And the Dealer's Hall is in kind of an L shape around Events 1. Events 2 and 3 are off that top section as well. And one thing we were trying to figure out is why on earth they're numbered the way they are. Because Events 1, 2, and 3 make perfect sense. It's the biggest room, the second biggest room, and the third biggest room. Yep. Great. But then Event 6 is next to Event 3, and 4 and 8 are down on the bottom section on opposite sides of the figure 8. It's very bizarre.
It's very confusing.
Yeah. Once you've got your con legs and you've been rounded a bunch, you can none of this stuff is far away from each other. So if you accidentally go to Events 8 when you meant to go to Events 4, it's not that difficult to pivot.
And they do have stuff labeled outside, so you can tell if it's the right event or not a lot of the time.
And they do also have screens telling you what's on in each given panel room at that time and what's coming up next, which I do like. That's good for them to have. But I have no idea why they're numbered in that order. There is probably a reason for it.
So the offshoot of that, this is a resort, so you can just walk to the both indoor and outdoor water park section. There's a giant arcade, not just the one that the con provides, but just one that's there that you can go and play games or laser tag or mini golf at.
Yep.
They have several different snack options.
Many food options. I'll talk about those in a little bit. But yeah, and even that little corridor that leads towards the main hotel has a few more small rooms of it. So they put con ops down there, they put their accessibility stuff down there, and a few other bits and bobs that are sort of useful to have, including the Federation room, which we'll talk about in a lot more detail once we talk about what we did on Saturday.
And where we always say that we're going to talk about more stuff later, it's supposed to just talking about it later.
I kind of want to talk about that room when we talk about the time we spent in that room.
That's fair. And this is themed... I feel a little bit uncomfortable with the like African savannah theme, I will admit. Which I get is not the con's fault. Like, presumably there's only so many water parks that meet their needs.
Yeah.
And the kind of main draw of this con is that it's in a water park. It is a small space for what it is. That's been a problem for Colossal for, I'm pretty sure, at least 10 years at this point.
Yeah.
Where it's just, they have outgrown their venue, but they can't change their venue because it's a water park.
Yeah. The venue is a decent part of a draw for a lot of people. And if they want to, the trouble is that if they want to keep having this many people turn up, they've only got so much space. Like, I'm honestly surprised they haven't started capping ticket sales.
Yeah, it sometimes does feel like they need to, because it does at times feel a little bit like a safety hazard with how many people are in rooms.
But
and rooms do have suggested maximum capacities on them, and this is something I've noticed with a lot of cons. They don't tend to... I noticed some capping of rooms for when they declared a room full for stuff. Mostly events room, I think 6. But for the most part, they just kind of let people into rooms, which would mean that sometimes they just were probably close to above capacity of that room, because I don't think anyone was counting how many people were in that room.
Again, I'm not going to say for certain they weren't doing that. They might have been doing it for things like main events. But
like,
it's
based on the things we went to today, I do not think that they were, because we could just walk into the main seller thing today. No one was stopping us.
Yeah,
that was packed.
Yeah, that was probably pushing problematic. But yeah.
So as a reminder, with cons, we try to be very, very respectful in our reviews to volunteers and panelists, because they're doing volunteer work. But this is, as far as I can tell, it's an LLC, so it's a for-profit con. And Cali Horror Resort is very clearly making gangbusters over this. So we are going to be a little bit harsher towards the higher level executive decisions they make.
Yeah.
Because they're doing this for money. And if they're doing it for money, I expect a decent product in return.
Yeah. With that said, we did have a good time this weekend.
We did.
We want to, before we get into any nitty gritty that involves, complaining or anything like that, we had a good time.
We did have a good time. I think we had a better time than we expected to have.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Because last time we went here, we were pretty overwhelmed by it, and I don't think had as good of a time.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, it was our first con. We didn't really know how we do cons in a way that worked for us, particularly at a con like Colossal, where you kind of need to know that to have a good time at that point.
Yeah.
Whereas now we do.
Yeah, now we know, what works for us, what doesn't, what do we want to do on a given day. Whereas, again, back, at that point, we exhausted ourselves last year in a way we kind of didn't this year.
2 years ago.
2 years ago, sorry. Because at that time, on that particular occasion, I think we only did 2 days. We did Friday and Saturday.
I think we might have done Thursday, too. I don't really remember.
But I don't remember for certain. But we didn't do Sunday last time, whereas we did this time.
And we did Wednesday, too. We mostly went down for elite badge pickup.
Yeah, we'll get onto the chronological bit in a minute. But yeah, we did do part of Wednesday as well.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't recommend this as a
first time con.
Unless your goal for first time con was to hang out with your friends and get drunk. And if that's what you want to do, it's a great first time con for that.
Yep. You will have a fun time drinking interestingly colored drinks and getting drunk with your friends. Which, hey, we do not judge. The main reason I don't drink is that you can't. Mm-hmm. As you phrased it to me, alcohol just kind of kills you faster than most people.
I've said that on the podcast.
Yeah, I think you have. And I'm very much a social drinker. If I'm in a situation where other people are drinking, I'm very happy to. I've been blackout drunk before, I think. I don't really remember, but that's kind of the point of blackout drunk. But I love you, and I don't want to do that in a way that's I don't want you to have to look after me when I'm hammered, basically, because
And the water park elements also just don't really appeal to us all that much.
So. Yeah. You like swimming, but you're more of a, swimming laps in a pool when it's quiet kind of person, as opposed to, whereas swimming is okay, but again, as a person who wears contact lenses, I have to, be very conscious of how I
This is not a swimming review podcast. We should probably get on to,
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, do you want to start talking about what we actually did?
I was also going to talk about parking and the food. So parking at this convention is free.
Yep.
Love that. if you get there early, you'll be absolutely fine for parking. There is a lot of parking at the Kalahari.
Yep, we got there at pretty much, I think around 9:30-ish each day, except for Thursday when stuff started at noon, and we got there like around 11-ish.
Yeah.
And we were golden. We parked close to the convention center. It was less than a 2-minute walk from our car to the door.
Super helpful. Like, multiple times, I had to run back to the car for one reason or another, like, dropping off stuff with the vendors, all that kind of stuff. And, like, it was not a problem in any capacity. Like, I was I was able to do it absolutely fine. So that's very much something that, was not an issue. I do know it got, as per usual, it did get busy enough that they were on their overflow parking at one point, which is a small field that's kind of just away from the place, but
and we know that because we saw cars on the grass.
Yeah.
Because when you get there early in the morning, you can see like cars on the grass that were left over from last night.
Yeah.
Some that I think were just there the entire weekend because, you're going to show up and there's no parking. Some people, I think, just park on the grass because they don't mind walking in and don't feel like searching for a parking spot.
Yeah, which is valid.
I will say back near the convention center entrance is generally where we tend to prefer to park. One, it's close to the convention center entrance because this is a resort, so it has like 20 entrances.
Yep.
People who are staying at the hotel presumably like to park closer to entrances, closer to their rooms, which makes sense.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
that back
valid.
area, I think, tends to be a little bit more free-ish, which we like because it's also close to the convention center.
Yeah.
And it's free, which is great.
And again, if you're doing the back and forth like we were, that's the place you want to be parking.
Mm-hmm.
There was even some more parking kind of further around, kind of behind the main space, which did also look fairly full when we had a wander around there. So the parking does fill up, but there is a lot of it, which is good. And then we mentioned food briefly. There is quite a lot of food available at the Kalahari. Between they've got a couple of restaurants, and they just had concession stands just dotted around all over the place selling. The one thing I do actually quite like is that they had a variety of concession stands. One particular day I wanted some food. There was a stand near us that was doing like chicken tenders and fries and that kind of stuff. I got you a macaron there.
Yeah, I actually tried food this time.
But there was also a different one elsewhere doing sort of Japanese style. What are they called? The kind of lunchbox things.
Bento boxes?
Bento boxes. Yeah, there was one doing that kind of stuff. And just, there was a lot of different variety. There was also so much alcohol.
Yep. And it was resort pricing, but not like horrible resort pricing.
Yeah, like the aforementioned chicken tenders, and the menu described them as fries. They were actually more like thick cut potato wedges, but I really like thick cut potato wedges, so I was very happy with that. But that was $15.
Americans just describe everything as fry that's vaguely like fried potato shape.
Yeah, those should be called chips, but anyway. It was like $3 for a macaroon, like macaron. Macaron, thank you.
Macaroons are the coconut ones. Macarons are the ones with the pretty feet.
Yeah.
And if you're not familiar, I have a disability that makes it hard for me to eat except at certain times of the day. It's a long and very, very boring story. But I figured I could maybe have a bite of something and probably be pretty safe. So I had a chocolate chip macaron, had a bite or two of it, and gave the rest to you. It was pretty good for a macaron.
Yeah,
a macaron. I'm saying it wrong now.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
That's the venue in the space. You want to talk about? Should we get chronological now, you think?
I'm assuming so, because I don't think there's anything else in particular we want to talk about on that front.
So we can note anything as it comes up, I think, in our story.
I think that's valid.
So keep in mind, this is our own con experience, so
Yep.
it's going to be different from yours.
Yep.
And I will say for this particular con, because of the trying to avoid crowds, trying to get to places we liked, and generally just trying to find panels we vibed with, there was a lot more running around between events at this con than would be normal for us.
Yeah, there was a lot of dipping into a panel for 5 minutes, deciding it was a bit too busy, and shifting to something else.
Mm-hmm.
Which again, we expected. It still takes a certain amount of logistics, but if you kind of turn up to a panel, it's really busy, and you don't care, you'll be fine. So we started on Wednesday for this one.
Yes, there's a few events on Wednesday. So cons have day zeros, and I think now some people are talking about day -1s. It's gotten very confusing.
Yeah.
Basically, day 0 is the day when registration opens, and they may have a few events on. A lot of cons do them differently.
Yeah, but
most cons, they're Thursday.
Yeah, but it's not really considered an actual like day of the con.
And I think at one point some cons have them on Friday. That was like not a real day because they waited to start until we got off work.
Mm-hmm.
At this con, it's on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Like Thursday is pretty much a full day of programming. They do start 2 hours later, but otherwise it's a full day of programming.
Yeah. And then Friday and Saturday are their really big days, and then Sunday ends a little early. Well, on Friday and Saturday they were running until like 3 in the morning, whereas I think the last event taps out at 6 today.
I think so. So it's still going on technically, although when we left, which was about an hour ago, it was pretty empty by that point.
Yeah, most people were done by that point, which is fair. But so Wednesday, we basically left after I got off work. This particular one's about a 2.5 hour drive for us.
Yeah, we didn't costume this day because there just wasn't really much point. We didn't intend to stay very long. I think we planned to pick up our badge and do a panel, which is what we did.
Yep.
So I just dressed kind of cutely. You dressed kind of boringly.
I came from work. I didn't change.
You wouldn't have changed into something boring even if you had changed.
Yeah, that's fair. But
so we got there. There was, I think, plenty of parking at that time. We didn't go back to the convention center parking. There probably would have been some stuff back there. We just didn't think to go back there, so we just kind of parked in the middle of the lot.
Yep, we were just like, "There's a spot. Let's grab it."
Yep. A lot of people moving in with a bunch of stuff. This is very fun. Already extremely busy by the time we arrived.
Yep.
Mostly with people moving in groups.
Yep. Which again, like, this is very much a con where if you can get a room, you're probably getting it for the whole, 4 nights. I'm genuinely curious to know how many people are also staying Sunday night. I suspect it's not many.
I don't know if they have water park passes that night. So one thing this con does is they offer after-hours water park passes that are exclusive to the con guest. So they're the only people who can be in the water park at that time. As Richard was mentioning earlier, I don't know to what extent the pools are just the con guests generally, because it's hard for me to imagine anyone who is not associated with the con staying here at this point during this time period.
Yeah.
I suppose it's technically possible.
Yep.
But I doubt it. So it's mostly just like they keep the water park open late and you can go. And I don't think they offer one for Sunday night. But you could still go to the water park. And some people, we've noticed this from furry cons, know they're going to be drunk and know that they're going to want an extra night to sleep in. So I suspect some people were likely doing that.
Yeah. But again, at the same time, a lot of people probably have to be at work tomorrow morning.
Yep.
So probably need
and
to
the parking lot did look fairly empty by the time we were leaving.
Yeah.
But on Wednesday night, it was already pretty busy. A lot of extremely excited people. We did have to bring Emma in with us because we weren't going to leave her in the car.
Yep.
She did pretty great.
Yep.
No one questioned her service dog credentials as she was behaving, and that is always a great thing to see.
Yep.
And we picked up our badges, which took all of 2 seconds.
Yeah, the badge pickup was surprisingly easy. It was basically, they had a pre-reg badge desk. We walked up to it, we showed them the QR codes, they scanned the QR codes, they handed us our badges.
Yep.
It wasn't even a line. Now, I suspect that, this was at least a few hours after early badge pickup opened, so there probably was a line when it started. But by the time we did it, wasn't a problem at all.
Yeah, and I don't know how large early badge pickup or pre-reg line got at any point during the weekend at all.
Yep.
I did see a registration line that looked maybe like about, I would say, 20 minutes-ish long, but for the most part, registration seemed fast and confident, which is always a great thing to see.
Love it when that happens.
And I will say, bigger cons tend to be this is one of those no in-between situations. Registration at larger cons either takes less than 5 minutes or it takes an hour. Yep. There's no in-between with cons of this size. It's one or the other.
And it basically just comes down to, do they have a system in place ready to go, and is everybody doing their job well?
Yeah.
And at this con, they had a system in place, and everybody seemed to be doing their job well.
Yep. And as a reminder, registration, as we've mentioned before in this con, is one of the most thankless volunteer jobs. We respect anyone who works at it. If there are problems at registration, it is not the people who registers you's fault.
Yep.
It's either that they're understaffed, their QR code scanner thingy is not working the way it's supposed to, or a combination of those two things.
Yep. But yeah. So again, nice, simple, easy, great. So
after that, we decided to just kind of go to a panel to get our con legs. There wasn't much on this time of night. It was about 9 a.m. or 9 p.m., not a.m. So there weren't a lot of options, but there were a few things. We went to game show Impossible Brew, Tame that game too.
Yep.
which was a panel of basically guess that game tunes.
Yep, which was perfectly fine.
I will say pretty much all the game show panels we did this weekend were people just kind of they didn't call contestants up from the audience, they just asked the audience questions.
Yep, which, we're going to be honest, it's not our preferred style. Like, we tend to have more fun at game show panels if they, like, call up specific volunteers.
It just gets more exciting because even if I don't know the question, I can at least, like, root for people and get excited when they know the answer or don't know the answer.
Yeah.
Whereas with the audience, it's hard to find, like, somebody to root for. To be clear, I root for all contestants equally. It's not like I have a favorite. It's just kind of fun to watch them play and have fun.
Yeah, if somebody's, like, 3 points down and then they, like, do really well and, like, suddenly there's a comeback, like, there's a narrative there that we can enjoy even if we don't know the answers.
Most of these game shows were just kind of asking the audience questions, which is a little bit less, I think, stimulating for us. I do get the logic behind it, because it does mean that everyone in the room can get a chance to play, and that's not really true with shows where you pick contestants. So I didn't see the thinking behind it. It's just not our preferred style.
Yeah. But again, just to clarify, just because something is not our personal preferred way of doing things, that doesn't mean it's the wrong way. People were having fun.
They were. And I think they had excuse me, how it was run is they have various categories of, like, consoles. You could pick a console and then you could get games from that console.
Yeah, so they would do sort of 5 or 6 different pieces of music from games that were on that particular console. Audience, kind of saying what they thought it was. Some people were getting basically instantly, some we weren't getting at all. Yeah, pretty standard stuff, but fun.
It was fun. We didn't stay for the whole thing, not because it was a bad panel, just because we were tired, and we really tried as a, like, giant, massive, like, 5-day event to pace ourselves this weekend. We did a pretty good job. We're definitely feeling the tired a little bit now.
Yeah, I'm definitely feeling it. Like, it's not bad, but I am definitely feeling it.
We'll be able to, like, you'll be able to work tomorrow, so.
Yay. Work.
Yay!
Yeah, you're still on, summer break. Why didn't I become an academic?
That is not the purpose of this podcast.
Anyway.
So that was that, and that person who was running that panel or group, I'm not entirely sure, was doing versions of this panel all weekend. So I think it would be a fun pop-in panel if you just wanted to answer questions about video games. And then we're giving away candy, which I think is the way to do it with an audience panel. Yep,
basically just lobbing the candy at whoever got the answer right, which works great. No notes.
And their software works pretty well, I thought, for the games that they wanted to do. And I'm sure it does take a while to, like, splice all those clips together. So we should respect the amount of effort that's put there.
Yeah, that's the thing. When it comes to panel prep, a game show panel is an easy thing to pitch, but the sheer amount of prep work you need to do for it is actually a lot.
Especially for it to go even moderately well.
Yeah.
And I think that people in the room were having fun. The host, I remember, had pretty great energy, was making jokes with people, and they were having fun, laughing back and forth. People were giving joke answers, and the host was, like, playing off of that. So I thought he did a really good job bringing energy to the room.
Yeah.
I assume he, I might say they, them, as we talked about before. We obviously don't check everyone's pronouns in this podcast.
Yeah. Not because we don't think they're important, it's just, it's kind of weird and awkward to do it.
You're clearly so prepped for this, honey.
Oh, yeah. Yawning right in the middle of the line.
So then we got to the Airbnb. Can I talk about the Airbnb, or do I have to wait?
You can talk about it.
Yay! This Airbnb was horrible.
It's, okay, here's the thing. I know how bad some of the Airbnbs you stayed in.
This Airbnb was horrible. Well, yeah, you know that, and know that I'm saying, even by the standard, because I've had to live out of Airbnbs during the pandemic for a story that's too complicated to get into right now. This Airbnb was horrible.
It kind of sucked.
Like, don't go there. So let's review the problems with the Airbnb. We are not an Airbnb review podcast, but I'm ticked off, and I think it's appropriate to put this particular thing on blast because Airbnb hosts are horrible. I'm aware that not each individual of them individually is horrible, but a lot of them are awful. Like, when I was looking up online what to do about some of the problems that were experienced at this Airbnb, I came across a thread of people asking what to do because their Airbnb did not have hot water, and the nice, I say nice, they're not nice at all, Airbnb landlords, quote unquote, that are on that forum were like, well, did the Airbnb advertise hot water? Because if it didn't, then you shouldn't expect hot water. And that's obviously dumb. That's like saying, did you expect your Airbnb to have a toilet? Yeah, I kind of just expect that. hot water is a basic thing. It's not even listed on the Airbnb amenities because it doesn't need to be.
So for this particular one, absolutely zero closet space, which kind of a problem for us given that, you brought 4 massive ball gowns for this one.
I did because I had to. It was a pain packing because I had to remember all the elements of my costumes, and those can't go in drawers. And there was one extremely small dresser, and I didn't want to put them on the floor because they're expensive.
Yep.
So, and our dog was going to be home all day, and while she is trained, I don't want to tempt her with not being able to walk through most of the space.
So we ended up having to just store all the dresses in the car. So they've been doing the back and forth to the convention center with us, which is not great.
The hot water lasted all of 5 minutes.
Yep. The washer dryer was broken.
And we were not informed of that until the day we were arriving. And I checked their Airbnb listing. The person who rented the Airbnb a week before us also had a broken washer dryer. So unless it broke again, which it definitely didn't, they neglected to inform us that it was broken until the day we were arriving, when conveniently it was too late to get another place.
Yep.
Which is, to be fair, we weren't planning to use the dryer and washer anyway because we weren't really planning to wash any clothes.
Yeah, we'd rather wait until we get home and just use our own.
Yeah. But that still gives me an eyebrow raise of, you clearly didn't tell us this because you didn't want us to book another place like we were entitled to do.
Yeah. The other thing that really kind of ticked us off, not because it was critically problematic, but just because it was kind of lousy behavior, was the soap in the bathroom, the kitchen, had very clearly been watered down. Just basic $2 bottle of hand soap. It had been watered down so much that
you were squirting water out of the pump. It was just water.
Yeah.
There was nothing else in it.
Yeah. I'd be surprised if that hasn't been refilled with water at least twice.
They also didn't provide shampoo and conditioner, or body wash, which they're not required to provide, but they are required to provide hand soap because we checked and they did not. Well, they provided fake hand soap, but it was very clearly watered down, and it's just I'm aware we could have gotten our own hand soap, but if you're watering down a $2 thing of hand soap that you're gonna have to replace maybe every 2 weeks at most?
Yep.
To cut operating costs?
Yep. And again, I know how cheap that stuff is. That's the brand we use because it's cheap.
Yep. It's $2. And it's just you really can't afford enough for your Airbnb to pay $2 every couple months.
Yeah, if you get it at Walmart on the right day, there's a pretty decent chance there'll be a 2 for $3 offer.
It was also tiny, which I didn't mind, and also the internet cut out.
Oh yeah, the internet was extremely spotty.
At times for 2 hours, which was annoying because on Thursday morning I was trying to.
We're not getting into that.
I probably shouldn't get into that. Know that my shopping addiction is deep and requires me to be on the internet, and also I'm competitive about getting things on the internet because I like it.
Yeah. But yeah, so subpar Airbnb. We didn't sleep great.
Nope.
But
it was just generally kind of an uncomfortable weekend. But we managed to pace ourselves well enough that it wasn't too much of a problem for the con and not the con's fault.
Yeah.
But I will say part of the reason we were stuck in this Airbnb to begin with
is because everything around here is booked up this weekend.
It's partially that I have looked for other weekends. There's just not a lot of Airbnbs that are relatively close to the area.
Yep.
Most of what's around there is resorts and hotels, and most people there are going to stay in resorts and hotels because the Sandusky area has, in addition to the Kalahari, several different theme parks like Cedar Point and stuff like that nearby.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty hotel-heavy place, although oddly not an Airbnb-heavy place.
Yeah.
If you've not listened before, we do have to stay in Airbnbs because of my disability. It's just hotels typically don't have the stuff I need to be able to function.
Yeah.
And when they do, it's way too expensive. So.
We would much rather pay for an Airbnb and drive for in this case, 18 minutes, I think it was officially, to have the stuff.
Particularly when parking's free.
Yeah.
But we don't recommend this Airbnb.
No.
Please email the Con Couple podcast if you want a link to the Airbnb. I mean, it actually is for the price, fairly decent in terms of price for the area. So if you don't mind, any of those problems we just listed.
Yeah, if you've got no issue with any of that, have fun with it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that was Wednesday night.
Yeah. So going into Thursday, and we did choose Thursday to do this because we had a little bit extra time in the morning because stuff didn't start until 12. We decided to debut a new costume and our first attempt at full face makeup.
And unusually, it was on me, not on you.
Yeah. I still had to do pretty much all of it.
Obviously. It's kind of hard to do full face makeup on yourself.
You know cosplayers do that all the time, right?
Obviously. They're talented. I'm not. Moving on.
So we decided to do Glenda and Alpha. Yeah. So I have a new pink poofy dress, which I got a lot of compliments on.
You did?
I found it interesting that I was more noticeable than you were. Despite the fact that your face was green.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, I was also wearing a big wide brim witch's hat.
Yep.
Which meant that, like, you were still in a giant pink sparkly poofy ball gown. Like, people were going to notice you first. Mm-hmm. Which, to be fair, is exactly the vibe that Glitter and Elphaba should give off.
Yeah.
So yeah, gender flipped Elphaba for me. So green face paint. Mm-hmm. You know, like, you did my lips black. We did, like, eyeshadow and a bunch of other stuff I don't understand.
I like how you're describing this.
Yep.
Even though you have no idea what I did to your face.
Barely. You know, and then, you know, the actual costume was basically just black shirt, black trousers, witch's broom, and a big white brim witch's hat.
Yep. I was in a poofy dress, had a crown, and a wand, which actually had a lot of fun. I might want to work in more props that have wands, just because they're very fun. So yeah, I definitely want to do that costume again. It was a very big hit. We got the most photos, I think, that day of any day.
Mm-hmm. Which, I'm going to be honest, that might be in part because Thursday was a day when people could take photos.
It was definitely a little bit lighter. Friday and Saturday were very heavy days.
Yeah.
But it was still fun. And it was fun to take pictures with you. So I definitely want to do that costume again. I do like wearing a costume that people can just see and get and have fun with. So.
Yeah. Yeah, we did get quite a few people asking us if we were Glinda and Elphaba, which is like, hey, people got a kick out of it.
And I worked really hard on getting the makeup to set, and we did get some fading at the top and bottom, but it did set, which means you weren't rubbing green off anything. That was my #1 goal, is to make sure we did not get any face paint on anything else but your face.
I mean, there's some on the shirt and there's some on the hat.
That was inevitable. But anything that's not our own property, I'm very paranoid about.
Yeah, we can bung those in the washing machine. Yeah, like, overall, it worked pretty well for a first, you know, like, we did a trial run of it at home, obviously, but, like, that was the first, this was the first time wearing it out.
Yeah. It does take about an hour to put on, and there's not going to be really any avoiding that. I can probably shave maybe 15 minutes off at most.
Yeah. And again, like, I would be hesitant doing this, going to any con that's further away than the, you know, like, 18, 20 minutes that this Airbnb was. Just because, like, actually, I don't even know if I would.
What?
Like, yeah, we could probably do this if we were going to Columbus. The main issue is time.
Mm-hmm.
Because it takes a certain amount of time. If this ended up working quite well because the con didn't start until 12 that day, which meant, among other things, I could work for a few hours in the morning.
Yeah, he was working during this.
Yeah, which sucked. I'm sorry about that. But, yeah, we could then, like, do the makeup and have enough time without having to get up stupid early. Whereas if this was in Columbus for a 9 o'clock start, and Columbus, for anybody who's not listening to the podcast, is about an hour's drive away for us, then, you know, we'd have to be up at 6 to do this makeup look, and, like, that's just hard. So, again, it's definitely one I think we will want to do in the future. It's just, it's got to be the right event and the right timing and a bunch of other, like, complicated stuff, which you need to keep in mind.
So, should we talk about getting to the con now?
Yep.
So we got to the con, easy 15-minute drive. I was still dealing with whatever I was doing in the car for a bit, with shopping that we won't get into because it's not a shopping podcast.
Yeah, which meant it was about 12:30 when we actually went into the venue.
Yeah. And there were a couple things on in the morning. We did kind of, I think, dip in and out of a couple panels, but we weren't really finding anything that was grabbing us specifically at that time period.
Yeah.
So I think we wandered the vendors hall for a bit.
Yep. I bought you a couple of things.
Yep, bought some plushies.
Yep, you bought a plushie frog, and then we got 3 plushie dogs.
Mm-hmm. I know we did that day or the next day. Because I remember the dogs were the same day as the frog.
Oh yeah, I think the dogs were the day after.
We got a frog from Hibiscus Stitch, who I will shout out because they're an artist.
Yep, that frog was great. We got that in part because of what you were wearing on Saturday, which again we'll talk about when we get to Saturday. But that was amazing.
So yeah, this is somewhat a vibes con, so there was a decent chunk of just kind of wandering around looking at cosplays and having fun.
And I will say, the standard of cosplay at this convention was really, really high.
Fantastic. Pretty much everyone's dressed up. There's a ton of cool costumes.
Yep.
It's very fun to just walk around and look at what everyone's wearing.
And again, because this is a con at a water park, you also got a lot of swimsuit cosplay, like, you know, people in bikinis that were, like, themed in some way around certain characters. Characters who actually wear bikinis in canon, and so therefore they could just wear that as a costume. Like, there's a lot of that kind of stuff, and it's... The other thing I really appreciate about this con is there's a lot of body positivity. Like, you saw a lot of different body shapes wearing revealing swimsuits, and everybody was just, you know, there were no comments, there were no negativity. Everybody was having a great time and just, like, being positive about it.
I do want to emphasize that's our experience.
Yes.
We obviously are not everyone who was at this convention, and I'm sure there were probably, just given the numbers of people, a few people who got into uncomfortable situations.
Yes.
But it seems like for the most part it was a very positive experience.
Yes. We will qualify that. And again, like, you and I do not have, like, the type of body shapes that attract that kind of negative attention, is what I will say. You are a woman, so you are judged on ridiculous standards completely unfairly at all times. I'm a tall, skinny white dude.
Yep.
Like, you know, so we don't attract that kind of attention. And we also weren't wearing swimsuits.
Yeah. I pretty much wear exclusively ball gowns. I don't know what my experience would be as somebody who has I don't know how to describe it other than like fairly standard looking body shape that you would kind of expect.
Yep.
How I would experience that.
Yeah.
I really admire the people who wear it though, because it's definitely something that I'm not sure I'm quite comfortable enough to wear at cons. So people who are, rock on.
Yeah, absolutely. So what was the first panel we actually went to?
That was cosplay chess.
Oh, of course it was. So we actually got to cosplay chess very, very early for one simple reason. We were in this one.
Yes. You want to explain what cosplay chess is? We should probably start with that.
We should. So the principle of cosplay chess is quite simple. You set up a honking big board on the floor, and you get a bunch of volunteers who are all dressed in a bunch of different costumes to be the pieces. Somebody then directs them around the board, usually, obviously, one person directing the black side, one directing the white side. They then play chess against each other, and any time a piece is taken, the two cosplayers involved in that are encouraged to act out the process.
Yep.
So a couple of years ago, we saw this panel. One of the people was dressed as Rick Astley. He kept pulling out a prop gun and shooting people.
He was in there this time, too.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was behind me. He was Maid Luffy, if memory serves. Which, if you... Sure. Again, seems like a very nice, pleasant...
Yeah, people were having fun, and a lot of the people who were in this were also in the improv contest, which we'll talk about later. But it's basically just a chance to kind of play in your costume.
Yeah.
It varies a lot in terms of the interaction. I think for some of them, like, you actually do physically touch people. We don't.
We don't. The official rule was don't touch anybody.
Yep.
Unless you already know them and have their permission to do it.
And part of that's, like, consent. A lot of it's just, like, some of these costumes are expensive and you want to be careful.
Yeah. Like, again, if you or I had taken each other, which we didn't get the opportunity to do, we did very deliberately choose to be on... we both got assigned pawns as our pieces, but they said we could take whichever pawns we wanted on whichever side. We were quite happy to take one black pawn and one white pawn so we'd be facing off against each other. Didn't get the opportunity to take each other, but if we had, we'd have been comfortable touching each other, whereas obviously I'm not comfortable touching other random people I don't know.
Yeah. And I will say cosplay chess events tend to vary massively in terms of their level of intensity and also organization, pretty much generally.
Yeah, the organization on this one was okay. They did some stuff very well. I actually quite like the sign up in advance thing.
Yeah, so we signed up in advance, which anyone could do. It is a little bit hard. I do want to emphasize this. Cosplay chess is a ridiculously hard event to run because you have to coordinate 30 people.
32.
Yeah, I thought it was 32. I was just wasn't sure. But you have to coordinate all the pieces, and then presumably you also have to coordinate somebody else to play chess with you.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that when you're playing cosplay chess, it's different than playing normal chess. You're not trying to win. You're trying to get all the pieces on the board to do interesting things.
Yeah.
Which is actually in some ways harder.
Yep.
And they did actually do some stuff. I'd say actually they did a lot of stuff right.
Yes.
You could sign up in advance. They had a check-in process when you got there, so we checked in early. If you were part of the Discord group, you could even select pieces you wanted to be. I couldn't get the Discord link to work when it was sent to me, so we just got assigned pawns. But I was honestly fine with that because at least as a pawn, you pretty much are guaranteed to get action in the game.
Yeah, you're probably going to get taken at some point.
Yeah, which the death scenes are actually more fun than the killing scenes. I think for pretty much everyone. So
again, come on. When I was Alpha, I had to do a variation on like looking like I'm melting because obvious.
And I also like that they did have a chessboard set up so you could like see what moves people were making because it got a little bit confusing at certain points.
Yes, they had a digital chessboard projected onto the screen so that you could see. The only real criticism I have of that is that they aligned the pieces in the room with black on one side of the room and white on the other, and the audience off so that they could see both. Whereas they had the chessboard on the screen aligned 90 degrees flip to that, which caused some confusion. I don't know if there was a way for them to set it up so that the two matched, but it would have been super helpful if they had.
Yeah.
But again, that's a relatively minor problem.
Yes. So there were also, I think, just some logistical problems with the room. One is just for whatever reason,
The
chairs.
The seating was set very far back
Yeah, it was
relative to where.
Way beyond the room, so it was just hard for anyone who was sitting back there because it was several yards away from where we were, like half of a football field, and it was just it was hard for anyone to see anything. And I do think that because when people take a piece, you're supposed to crouch down and give them a fight scene. I think this just might be a new MC issue because it is hard to think of this in the moment. It would have helped if they were okay, everyone crouch down.
Yeah, everybody take a knee, or if you can't, move out the way so that the audience can see whatever fun thing is about to happen, and then return to your space.
Yeah, and then just say that before each kill so that the cosplayers can have a chance to prepare and act out the kills.
Yeah,
because they were playing a bit quickly at points, and it just meant. At times we were confused as to where we were even supposed to be, and it also meant that sometimes people didn't really get to see or choreograph some of the kills. There were still some pretty good kills.
There were some pretty good ones.
And I do want to emphasize again, this is a massive undertaking to organize this event. You're coordinating probably close to 35 people when you get in all the extras and handlers and everything else.
Yep.
I really do think this person did do a good job with it.
They did. Again, we're being persnickety and just this is not meant to imply we did not have fun. We very much did. It's just couple of notes for next year if you're running it again next year.
Yes, and I do realize when you're coordinating that many people, it's hard to do everything perfectly. I honestly don't think I could have done a better job if it was.
Yeah, I would concur with that. But again, that was Cosplay Chess. That was fun.
It was very fun.
I then had to sprint out and make a quick work phone call. But got away with that. So what do we do after that?
So Cosplay Chess did end earlier than its slotted time, which was, I think, a trend with a lot of the longer events this weekend. A lot of them didn't actually go to their slotted times, which I'm okay with. I don't think you should prolong an event for longer than it should be. It's just something for scheduling and planning, I would like events to be a little bit closer to the time that they were starting. And it's worth emphasizing for Cosplay Chess, we also just left early because we were tired, which was not against the event organizer.
Yeah.
They had a rule that after a match finished or stuff like that, or they were just pretty blatant with this of people if anyone needed to leave for whatever reason, they would just pull somebody else from the crowd to go up, which they did.
Yep.
Which I think is also a great rule because no one feels pressure to keep playing if they're tired or they're not feeling it or they have a headache or they just have another panel or a work phone call they need. Because I think we left because of your work phone call.
Yeah, we left because I had to call my boss.
Yeah.
Or technically, I had to call the department head. Actually, technically, she's division. Whatever her official job title is. But again, it wasn't a complex phone call. And it was 10 minutes out of my day, but she just wanted updating on something. Mm-hmm. But it says something that I was able to just walk outside and make that phone call without any real problems, though. So, what do we do next?
We did tier list game show.
Yes, we did. That was fun.
That was. That person was supposed to send us their information to put in the box. I don't know if that's happened.
They have not sent it yet. We will see if they do.
Yes, and if you are listening to this, we will update the show notes.
Yeah, we are quite happy to add more detail to to the description if you get us that information. We're quite happy to share your social media. You probably have more followers than we do, but we're quite happy to do that for you.
Yeah, I really like this.
Yeah.
So the premise of this was basically, most people I imagine know what a tier list is, where you have S tier at the top and F or D tier. Sometimes people name them random things. You just rank items along that tier, with S being the highest tier and F or whatever you call it. Sometimes people give them funny names, being the lowest tier.
Yep.
But this was done with a twist.
Yeah. The twist specifically being the people who got called up to do the ranking had to know absolutely nothing about what they were ranking.
Yep.
So, and then the audience's reactions were supposed to, like, I wouldn't say guide them into what they should be doing, because most of the joke was, yeah, if the audience tells you something should be S tier, put it in F. Put it in F. Just to annoy them.
Yeah, the host had great energy. He was great at keeping up like crowd performances and stuff like that. And he clearly, because we were talking to him before the panel, I don't think we got confirmation on him before.
We did.
Yeah. He was, we were joking around with him. He like clearly wanted to call both of us up like separately, and we just kind of decided to go up together, and he let us stay up for 2 turns, which was super nice.
Again, he called me up, and I basically said, trust me on this, bring her up with me. I was like, okay, we can do that.
And we expected to just go for like, because a person generally did a list and sat back down. We expected to just do one list so more people would have a chance to go up, but he wanted to stay up for another list, which was fun. We did a quickie on that one.
Yeah.
So I think we did Has Been Hotel, which we had not seen.
That was the relatively quick one, and the slightly longer one was
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I think we're just ranking JoJo's. I don't even really know what that means.
We were ranking the arcs.
Okay.
So like a lot of anime is broken down to like arcs, storylines. So yeah, we were ranking them, except we have never seen JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I know 2 things about it. It's really, really weird, and there's a bunch of people in it who do a bunch of poses.
That's all anime.
Yeah, but the only reason I know about the Pillar Men is because I watched If the Emperor Had a Text-to-Speech Device, where they are parodied by the Custodes.
It was fun to do that. It was fun to play. Everyone who did it had really great energy, and I really liked the host for that panel. And that's exactly the type of fun improvisational panel I love.
Yeah, that was great.
And the host like went all out and like gave us like trophies, like legitimate trophies, not even like 3D printed trophies, like actual trophies.
Yeah, like they probably spent money on those trophies. Thanks.
And they like spin. You can like flick them and they spin around.
I don't know where we're gonna put them, but we like them.
We like them a lot. Like that's better than some of the legitimate awards we've won at cons.
It actually is, yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was great.
And everyone who participated got a trophy. It wasn't like a...
Yeah, it wasn't like you were the best. This was they did 4 rounds, they had 4 trophies.
And we were just going to take 1 trophy, and he insisted we take 2.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. Like, we were just going to split one, but, you know.
Yeah, I hope he does more panels. I really like his style a lot, and I like the, presentation style he gave off, and he did a really good job of... Because if you're hosting an improvisational panel like that where people are coming up, which is a nervous thing, and it's something where you're like making fun of somebody, you've got to do a really good job of making sure the room's comfortable with that. And I thought he did a really good job of making sure that the room was comfortable with that.
Yes, he did a good job of doing what I would refer to as vibe checks.
Yep.
Of just like making sure that everybody was happy with where we were.
Yep. And like there was some like light teasing of people, but like the fun type of teasing.
Yeah.
I'm still happy Rainbow Fish was S tier.
Yeah, one of the lists after us was just ranking fish.
Yep. That was the best ranking, just objectively.
Yeah.
Because everyone wanted Rainbow Fish to be S tier, and then that person put it in S tier, and there was just so much screaming.
Yeah, it was great.
I love con moments like that.
Yeah.
So we didn't do a lot after that. We've been trying to pace our stuff. Oh, we did go to the Ribbon Game meetup, though.
We did. And if you're listening to this podcast now, there is a non-zero chance that's because you met us at the Ribbon Game, and we gave you one of our ribbons.
Thank you, if you actually, followed through and listened.
Yeah.
Opposed to just, lying and saying that you were going to listen and then not actually, which I honestly respect.
Yeah, that's also a valid choice. If you're not listening to this, we don't judge you for that. Don't worry. We weren't even necessarily planning to do this. We just wanted to go to the Ribbon Game meetup for the sake of doing it. And we realized we were sitting in the front row where the people who had ribbons were going to be giving them out after the description of what the Ribbon Game is. And I was like, well, I did bring a bunch of our ribbons with us. We can't just dish them out. So we did.
As a reminder, I'm not going to go into too many details because we've explained the Ribbon Game before, but basically at cons you get ribbons that you can put on your badge to stick on them. We did learn a little bit more of the history of them in this panel, though. They apparently started with I think sci-fi conventions.
Interesting.
You were there. You also heard this fact.
Yeah, I was
talking about it.
I'd forgotten. That was 2 days. That was 3 days ago at this convention. My brain doesn't work anymore.
So they gave a little bit of a history of what Ribbon Game was. I also don't remember that much of it. I did remember that it started at sci-fi conventions where ribbons you can attach to the bottom of your badge. They serve a functional purpose. You can put somebody's pronouns on them. It's a little sticker thing. You can put somebody's title on them. I've seen them at academic conferences used for those purposes.
Yeah.
But at fan conventions, people tend to collect them.
Yep.
And at Colossal Con, people get real into collecting them.
Yeah.
So they have a whole booth set up at Colossal Con that is just for the ribbon game.
Yep.
Most cons will let you order ribbons through the con, which is cheaper to do. Basically, you order through the con, and because a bunch of people are ordering at once, that puts the overall cost down, so you can get your ribbons for a lot cheaper than you otherwise would.
Yep.
The only catch is you have to go by the con's booth to pick them up when you get there.
And I think there are certain limitations on what options you have. I'm a little unclear on exactly how that works, but
I know when I was doing it individually for our ribbons, because I liked it to not go through a con to do it. If you put extra stuff, it costs extra, and I imagine it might be the same thing if you were ordering through the convention.
Yeah.
Like if you're just doing text, it's a certain amount, but if you want to have pictures or images, it costs a little bit more. Just fair.
And again, our ribbons are pretty simple. They just say the Con Couple podcast. They're black, but the actual text is in rainbow, which is quite fun.
And yeah, I might consider ordering some more through a con, just because it might be fun to do that sometime, and then we won't run out of weird ribbons as quickly as we did.
Yeah, we ran out. Sorry, guys.
So, what's unusual about this con is they do have a whole station that's just set up to the ribbon game, where you can go up. I think you can presumably get your ribbons. We walked by it, but it always had a massive line, which I think is fair.
Yeah, they were busy basically all weekend.
You can roll something. They did explain at this panel what they did. So you can roll a die and get a ribbon. They had a gotcha machine where you can get ribbons. They had a ton of games where you could go around the con and get ribbons. So one that I did notice is...
Yeah, this is one we both noticed. There was a group of Dragon Ball cosplayers, and you could get ribbons off them. The only problem, and specifically these are people dressed as the 7 Dragon Balls.
So they're wearing these massive hoops that have the Dragon Balls on them, on their persons. They're really cool looking costumes.
Yep. And you had to find all 7 of them. The only problem was it number 3, I think, was ill and couldn't make it, so you couldn't actually complete the set.
So you did get a ribbon, I think, from each of them, but you couldn't get a ribbon saying that you got all of them. And we just know this because we happened to overhear people talking about it in the hallway.
I think they said as long as you had 5 of the 7, you were good.
Yeah.
Which just amused us a bit. But
So that's the thing you can do to earn a ribbon. Some people, like us, also just kind of give out ribbons. We don't force people to listen to the podcast to give out ribbons. But we have been talking about doing a special secret ribbon that will require you to listen to a podcast.
Yeah, I quite like the idea of basically saying, hey, this is the standard ribbon. You're welcome to that. We have an extra one that if you listen to our podcast, like the last episode before a con where we know we're going to do this, we'll put a secret word in there somewhere. So if you listen to the episode and find out what that word is, all you need to do is tell us what that word is, and we'll give you the special ribbon.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't actually made the special ribbon yet, so don't start listening for the word yet. But,
I mean, we can put it in this episode. I can order it when we get home if you want.
Sure, we'll potentially look at doing that.
Do you want to do that and commit to this or not?
Mostly, I want to overtake this truck, and then we can discuss that option. Okay, we're good. I mean, yeah, I'm good with that. Do you have a word in mind?
I'm trying to think of something from this weekend that would be useful. We'll also repeat this probably again at the end of the episode if I remember, because I don't... it's a little bit sneaky to put it in the middle of an episode as opposed to at the beginning or the end, so people who just want to, listen for the ribbon get it.
True, but, metrics matter. No, they don't. We don't care. We don't make money off this podcast.
The code phrase is metrics matter.
Great, that'll work.
We'll have a different one every week if we remember to continue this bit, which hopefully we do.
Yep.
We definitely will if I order ribbons.
Yep.
And if you say any of the code phrases to us, any of them at all, you get a ribbon.
Yep, that'll work. Yeah, so first code phrase is metrics matter.
Metrics matter. So back to the panel. The first half of this was them just explaining how the ribbon game works. It's a game that is a little bit hard to play just because everyone has different requirements for the ribbons, and it's a little bit hard to know who even has ribbons. People who get into it get really into it. I saw, because I am in the Colossal Con Facebook group, that somebody got 340 ribbons this weekend.
That's terrifying. It's very impressive, but it's a little terrifying. And we have had this before at cons where people was like, so I heard you have a ribbon.
Yep.
Yeah, I have one. There you go. Thank you.
For some people, this is just their favorite thing to do at a con, and I get it. I'm into quests like these.
Yeah.
If I didn't have to also want to do a bunch of other stuff, I probably would get into it more.
But yeah, so that was our experience with the ribbon game. But
we didn't really finish it at all.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
We got distracted.
No, you got distracted.
I always get distracted.
Yeah, anyway. So they explained the history of ribbons. They made a few ribbons and showed people software you could use to make your ribbons, showed you where to buy ribbons. And then it was time for ribbon trading, and they basically asked all ribbon vendors to come to the front row to vend their ribbons.
Yeah.
And we were in the front row, and I was in a massive blender-shaped ball gown, and we had ribbons, so
we figured, yeah, we might as well give these out. We'll just kind of tell people about the podcast. So if any of you listened, thank you.
Thank you. We legitimately appreciate you listening to the podcast and not just lying about listening to it, which I also respect.
Dear. But yeah, so that was fun. Basically, as soon as we ran out, we got out of there because we did not want to be disappointing people. And we weren't the only ones who were doing that. Like the people next to us had like 3 left when we left. I'd freely admitted they were basically going to be following us out the door as soon as they handed those off. So.
Yeah, and it's something where I try to balance it because, like, we're giving out a secret ribbon now for Metrics Matter.
Metrics Matter.
Yeah. But at the same time, I don't want to, like, I don't know. I feel like it kind of ruins the fun of the ribbon game if you turn it into completely a marketing technique. So I think having multiple ribbons, one of which is just free and one of which is just, like, something for which you listen to the podcast is, I think, a fair compromise.
But yeah, so...
After that, we went outside and did some stuff.
That sounds incredibly suspicious.
It does. What we were doing was kind of suspicious. It involved pamphlets.
Oh, that.
We're not Mormons.
No. We do, however, have a issue we feel strongly about regarding a certain education bill in Ohio. So we were trying to get some signatures for,
fighting that bill. I don't like telling people what to think. Look up the bill. Look, if it's something that you're against, maybe think about, like, signing a petition in your local area.
Yeah.
We kind of quickly realized that campaigning at a con was not for us. I don't think we're going to try that again. No one was mean.
Nobody was mean. It's just, again, part of the issue with this one is the question was, are you a registered voter in Ohio? And we found one person who was.
And they were already drunk. So,
yep.
Respect. Just not the best person to sign a petition.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing in the rules that says I technically can't, like, make you sign while you're drunk, but one, it's probably not going to be legible, and also, like, I at least want you to understand what you're doing.
Yeah,
like, I'm going to feel like shitty if...
Again, you're an ethics professor. Yeah. You are not doing that.
I definitely would not do that. So yeah, we just kind of realized it was not for us. We didn't want to ruin anyone's good time by talking about a serious issue at a con where people wanted to get drunk, so we're just like, we'll just save this for a work environment.
Yeah.
And then we decided to go home. It was like 9 p.m. because we wanted to pace ourselves.
Yep.
I do wish we had kind of stayed later. I think I've mentioned this to you a couple times over the weekend. It's one of those things we're still kind of trying to find balance with it because I tend to be a little bit more energetic than you just generally.
Mm-hmm. I'm British. I'm not allowed to be excited about things.
And I can definitely push through tiredness more than you can.
Yep.
So it's just trying to find that compromise is difficult.
Yep.
In part because I think your body clock just wakes up earlier than my body clock. Like, if I have a late night, I can sleep in as much as I need to, whereas you can't.
I can't. Like, once I hit about 6:30 is about as late as my body lets me sleep in, and that's if I went to bed after midnight. Normally, I'm waking up somewhere in the 5:30 to 6 o'clock range.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I did wake up at 6 on Saturday, but that was mostly due to adrenaline, I think.
Yep.
So that was Thursday. We're not even on Friday yet.
Yay!
Are we off the highway yet?
No, we're still on the turnpike.
Oh, wow. We're on the turnpike for longer than I thought we were going
Oh,
to
yeah,
be.
we're on the turnpike for quite a while.
I don't think we were on the way up.
Yeah?
Riveting content.
No, we're on the turnpike for like 90 minutes.
Anyway.
Are you worried we're lost?
Yes.
I will check. No, we can check the sat nav.
I will check the Saturn nav.
Okay.
That is safer.
Agreed. So, what was the first thing we did on Friday?
Should we talk about costumes first? Because we always forget to do that.
We should.
So our costumes on Friday were decided for us because we entered the in-character cosplay contest, which we'll talk about later. But because we were staying off-site, we couldn't change costumes. One thing I want to shout out briefly, because I have noticed this also in the Colossal Con Facebook group / Discord server, is people at this con do change costumes. They have like a morning and an afternoon costume, which is awesome. Yeah. If I was staying on site, I would definitely do that.
Yep.
But I'm not. So because we were doing the in-character cosplay contest, we decided to do Barbenheimer, because that's what we were entered into the cosplay contest for.
Yep.
Did you get lost?
Yeah, I missed a turn somewhere along the way. It's fine.
You.
It's fine. Just means we've got slightly more time to podcast.
That means we're not going to be home until later, is what you're saying?
Yep.
Great. I told you.
Yeah, it's only added an extra 20 minutes to our estimated time of arrival. It's fine. I'm competent, guys.
I told you we weren't on this highway for this long.
I love you, and I'm now very grateful we're doing this podcast because you're not allowed to be annoyed at me.
Oh, I'm still allowed to be annoyed at you. Our listeners love it when I'm annoyed at you.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Like, multiple of them have said they like that.
Yeah. Well, people just like it when you're mean. Anywho. Whoops.
Do I need to pause the podcast so that we can go through the toll booth?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's pause for a second at this point while we get through the toll booth.
And I can yell at you off the podcast, so I'm still personable on the podcast.
Correct. I love you.
Me too.
And we're back.
Okay, listeners, it's time to play a game called Basic Geography. This is a new segment of the podcast where we will talk about the geography around Northeast Ohio.
Look, all that happened is there was an extra turn on the turnpike I missed. It's fine.
So for reference, if you're a Clevelander or around the Cleveland area, he managed to drive us past Sandusky to the other side of Cleveland when we were supposed to circle around the west side of Cleveland, and now we're on the east side of it.
Is that where we are?
Yes.
Oh, bollocks. It's fine.
And you added like 40 minutes to the trip.
It's fine.
For reference, because some people can't tell, I'm not actually mad at him.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think we're at the start of the day on Friday.
We are.
Okay. We're professionals.
We're great. Again, we're not professionals. We don't get paid for this.
So our aim for the rest of the days was to be there around 9:30, just because we have gone in 2023, and we do know that morning tends to be less crowded, easier to get parking.
So fun fact, Emma's looking at me and giving me a judgy look right now.
Emma's our dog, in case you need a reminder.
Yep.
She's now licking your elbow, though.
Now she's licking her paw. She's refusing to lick my elbow. So anyway, as you were saying, so yeah, we were aiming to arrive somewhere in the 9:30 range because we knew we could get parking, and it was going to be a bit quieter at that time of day.
We do like.
Yes. And again, so costumes for this particular day that we got distracted from talking about. So we were doing the in-character cosplay contest on Friday.
Yes.
This is something you need to sign up in advance for.
And it's hard to get in. Pretty much all of their cosplay contests are hard to get in because they do capped entrance.
Yeah.
Ours was capped at 20. I think the other cosplay contests also had caps. So we'll talk more about that when we get to those.
We will. But so we were doing Barbenheimer, where you are dressed as Barbie and I am dressed as Oppenheimer.
So keep me to gender bend it one day.
Yeah, that would actually be pretty funny.
Maybe if we do the in-character contest next year, we'll just gender bend the costume.
Yeah, me doing Barbie and you doing Oppenheimer. Oh god, that means I need to be perky. But yeah. So, I have lost my train of thought again.
That's why you got us lost the first time.
Yep.
So we dressed as that. I was in a less poofy dress that day. I could actually walk it in stuff, no hoop, which makes me feel kind of naked when I'm not wearing a hoop at a con. But it was still a cute outfit, and some people did get it, so that was fun.
Yeah.
I think we did take 1 or 2 pictures because people got the costume.
Yep. And again, my costume is basically just a jacket and a hat. Yeah. But it works. Yeah. It's still a good meme, apparently. People remember it, so... We figured this was a costume we were going to like a couple of years use out of at most before people stopped remembering it.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, we were actually very pleasantly surprised we got into the in-character cosplay contest. And I'll be honest, we kind of weren't necessarily planning to go to this con, and then we got the confirmation we were in this, and we were like, okay, I guess we're going.
We're going. It's a very unique event, so we'll talk more about that later in the timeline.
Yeah.
So we got there. One of the things for this con is, like, for whatever reason, the, like, guidebook schedule thing was just not working for me all weekend. You could look up the panel descriptions online, but my phone was just not letting me. It kept saying the schedule will be posted soon. I think it could work if your phone read the QR code like yours did, but mine didn't do that, so it just, I couldn't access the schedule.
And yeah, for the record, that's not a problem with the QR code. That's your phone is an iPhone 6S that is somehow still working.
Yeah, the QR code wasn't a problem. The fact that their website just somehow didn't have an updated panel description, or it stopped working or something, or you couldn't like get any direction other than through the QR code was a bit more of a website problem.
Yeah, but we between the two of us managed to figure it out, and they did have a printed guide. It's just two massive sheets of A3 paper.
Yep.
And one of the things we'll talk about when we get to Saturday is that like some stuff's kind of not on it, or is on one of the sheets but not the other, and it's a bit weird. But obviously that while extremely useful, and I'm very glad they have it, it doesn't have panel descriptions, which would be useful to have.
And it's also that thing with this kind of, some of the panel descriptions were so vague that they were just
completely
didn't really tell us anything.
Yeah.
Which I don't know who puts in the panel descriptions.
Yeah, I'm assuming
the panelists.
I'm assuming it's the panelists, but because it usually is. Usually with most cons, it's a case of you write your own panel description, and if they want to change anything, they can do.
Which just relates to the panel we were going to first, which was I Was a 90s Kid Part 2, which had a kind of vague panel description.
Yep.
And we actually stood in line for this just because the line was super short, just because they wouldn't let anyone in the room until the panelists were set up.
Yep.
And
this turned out to basically just be 90s Jeopardy.
Yeah. I will say the other people in line also, like, because we were just in line talking, admitted they also had no idea what the panel was either.
Yep.
So... And they were like, we also don't understand why it's called Part 2.
Yeah, we couldn't find Part 1 anywhere. And then the panelists mentioned that, like, they did this panel 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And this is, like, the return of it. But that was kind of confusing from the way you listed the panel, not going to lie.
Yeah. But again, it's fine.
Yeah, we had fun.
Yeah, it was fun. It was some basic, like, Jeopardy trivia. I will say, and this is not a critique of this particular panelist, I just find that for whatever reason, everyone who does Jeopardy at cons uses like a PowerPoint for Jeopardy, when there's like this perfectly nice online app that I use in my classroom that's really nice because like it gets rid of the question category once you've used it. And if you accidentally click on a question category, it's easy to like keep the category. It's a much smoother system than using PowerPoint. And I just don't understand why everyone reverts to, well, not even PowerPoint. Normally it's Google, like.
Usually it's Google Sheets these days.
Not Google Sheets, the Google presentation one. I was remembering that one.
Oh yeah, Google Slides.
Yes. And it's not bad, it's just it would be a slightly more pleasant experience to like remember what categories you've done or what number you're on.
Yeah. But again, the questions were probably about the right level.
Yeah, they were at the level. It was fun for the room. They had like prizes for bonus questions and stuff like that. And it was another just ask questions to the audience, which for that one I didn't mind. It was about the right for that. Although I do think it would be kind of fun to have participants in that panel.
Yeah, again, I would have done it with participants for Jeopardy, but again, I think this con's just a bit chiller in its vibes when it comes to its game show panel. So again, they generally have been preferring to just shout to the audience. But again, fun panel, solid way to start the day. For whatever reason, with hindsight, I know exactly what the reason was, but it took us ages to find our equilibrium on Friday. And the reason for that was we were doing the cosplay contest in the afternoon, and we were nervous about it.
I think it was partially just you were working, and like when you're working, it stresses me out, and also you out.
Yeah.
Because you're stressed about work, and then I understand that you're stressed, and I feel like it's my fault that you're stressed, and it just becomes this little spiral thing, which is not the fault of anyone but us.
Yeah. We probably should stop doing that, but
I've told you to stop doing that.
Well, this is the problem. When they hired me, they agreed I would have Fridays off in the summer, because our university switches to like a summer work schedule where everybody gets off at 2:30 on a Friday, because obviously the students aren't there. But like, it's very clear that my boss has forgotten that she agreed to that when they hired me.
You're aware that you can just email your boss and say that and then move on with your day.
Yeah, but I'm really awkward about doing that. That requires confrontation with somebody I hate confrontation with.
Pick confrontation with everyone.
Yeah. Confrontation is hard. But yeah.
So it was a pretty fun panel. I enjoyed the 90s nostalgia stuff.
Yep.
Some of it was a little before our time, because we're, I think, older 90s pretty much only.
Mm-hmm.
But I had fun.
Yeah.
I gotta remember that better blocks existed.
I got the nostalgia of, talking about rewinding a cassette tape with a pencil.
Yeah. I never actually did that.
My dad had a lot of cassette tapes. Fortunately, they very rarely actually did that, if you looked after them properly. But, it did happen occasionally.
So after that, that went 2 hours. We stayed for all the prepared questions. Afterwards, they started trying to fill the hour by like asking some unprepared questions, which is fine. It just, we were kind of at a tough point at that point.
Yeah, and that's not on them. As I said, we were kind of antsy that day.
Yep. So we went to the Banana Slamma, It's Another Donkey King sing-along.
Oh yeah, we did nip into the back of that, didn't we?
We didn't stay there terribly long. We were just like, what is this?
Yeah, this was in main events.
Yeah.
Like, this was them showing clips from what I assume was a, like, CG animated Donkey Kong cartoon show that was real weird.
It got weird fast. I was so confused. It wasn't like at the time we were in there, no one was like singing along. It was mostly just Donkey Kong like singing extremely weird songs. Like I don't mean weird like inappropriate or even odd. Just like think weird like 90s, early 2000s songs that were like the B-side tracks by popular artists. That was most of what he was singing.
Yeah, it was very bizarre. Like, the people in there seemed to be having fun with it.
Yeah, I mean it seemed fun.
We were just like, this might be a little too weird for us at our current level.
So at that point, we decided to go on a walk, sort of.
Yes. So we decided that we wanted to figure out where the outdoor events were.
So they had two schedules for this con, a main schedule, which I'm reading right now, and a kind of side schedule that was like next to the main schedule that had stuff from the Federation, which we did on Saturday, so we'll talk about that then.
Yep.
The autograph schedule, the just basic con schedule, the water park schedule. And on the back it had outdoor events, and it didn't explain where the outdoor events took place.
Do you want to read the exact description it says?
Outdoor events take place in the field near the Sands pool. So keep in mind this is a massive convention center. None of the maps that were printed out on these things we could find what the Sands pool even was.
Google was no help.
Nope. We tried that too. So we're just like, where are these outdoor events?
And we figured, well, we could do with a little break. So let's step outside, see if we can find them.
And to be clear, walking around a big con is always a blast, just generally. You see so many cool cosplays. In this case, we got to like walk past a bunch of doors and like see what everyone did to like decorate their door, because there were a lot of like activities you could do on your door, like which Pokemon was the original first Pokemon.
Yep.
It was like a poll on one of the doors, and it was like
Rhydon, Bulbasaur, Mew, and Arceus.
Yeah.
To which the answer is, that depends on what you define as first.
That's the point of the question.
Exactly.
So yeah, going around and seeing all the cool cosplays and doing that was a lot of fun. And I did, for this con, because I was doing Barbenheimer, which required a bit of high heels, bring a change of flip-flops.
Yes, you brought some backup shoes.
Which I'm glad I did, because that walk would not have happened if I did not.
Yeah, but we ended up, so we walked around the outside of the venue, not all the way around, because it's a giant venue. But we walked around a bit of it.
Then we didn't see anything that looked like the outdoor events they were talking about there.
Yep, so we went back in. When we said we walked around the outside of it, we were actually following some signage to, quote, Sands.
Mm-hmm.
But we like followed it around and we couldn't find any more signage. We're like, okay, let's just go back.
And then it looked like we were just at the back of the venue where the staff were supposed to be.
Yeah, and so we ended up walking around the outdoor water park. We didn't go into it because we didn't want to spend the extra money for the fancy wristbands. Mm-hmm. But we did walk around the outside, like the perimeter of the outdoor water park.
We didn't accidentally go into it at one point.
Yeah, we walked through a gate, and then we were like, wait, are we actually into the look around? Oh, okay. No.
Well, the gate was open, and on the closed gate, it said, like, only wristbands.
Yeah.
So we would have obeyed that had we seen the sign, but the sign, because the gate was open, was not visible.
Yeah, so we basically hightailed it back through.
They do have a petting zoo back there, though. That's cool.
Yep. Like, there's a lot of stuff at this,
I want
hotel.
drunk people petting drunk goats.
Yeah, you do have to drug the goats at a petting zoo. It's kind of sad. But yeah. And again, that was when we really saw all the flags draped across stuff. Shout out to whichever con goer it was who draped a flag from the Goes Wrong show.
Mm-hmm. The multiple tables, I'm just going to call it Pong, quote unquote, that were set up outside the rooms on the ground floor.
Yep. There was so much stuff set up.
Yeah, it's definitely worth, if you just have an hour to kill at this con, just walking around the venue and seeing what you see, because there is so much cool stuff happening. And you'll probably just get a ribbon if you're into the ribbon game just by walking around.
Yep.
I think we got 2 or 3.
Yeah, we got several. We met Paul.
We met Paul later. We met Paul
Yeah, we did meet Paul later. But yeah, we have a ribbon that just says, I met Paul.
Yeah, hi Paul if you're listening to this.
Yep.
Also, if your name happens to be Paul and you're not the Paul we're referring to, hi.
Hi.
So yeah, it's definitely fun to do. We did eventually find the outdoor space. It was not very, it was like the last, well, obviously it was the last direction we went because we stopped looking at that point. But it was still it took us about an hour to find.
Yeah. Not the most convenient, additional, like, more clarification on the guide would have been super useful on that one, so, you know. But yeah, so at that point we meandered back over. What do we do next? Or was that when we headed into the... no, that can't have been 4 o'clock, right?
That was not 4 o'clock. I don't think we did much else. I think we probably went to the board games room at that point.
Yeah, well, I think we did.
Because we just needed breaks because we were kind of psyching ourselves up for this.
Yeah.
And there weren't, like, this con had a lot of paneling, I do want to emphasize. Oh, we didn't do that. We went to, just not all the paneling appealed to us. So at that point, I needed a caffeine hit, and sometimes you just need a panel to sit in the back of. So we went to Set Sail with Colossal Con Cruise.
Oh yeah, we did, didn't we? I forgot about that.
So we weren't really interested in going on Colossal Con cruises, but we just needed something to sit in the back of and chill for a bit. So we're like, well, that one works.
Yeah, this is an information panel on the Colossal Con cruise. Why not?
It was one of the quieter rooms, and there wasn't a lot on the time that appealed to us. So we hung out in the back there. Colossal Con, like a lot of cons, is now getting into the cruise market where they have a cruise you can go on. It's officially with Colossal Con that you have to book through them, but you get a cruise and there's panels. It's a sort of kind of a con on a cruise, although it is on a much smaller scale than like a con.
Yeah. But you're also getting a cruise.
Yeah, which is cool.
And again, if you're into cruises, great. We are not. I get seasick.
I will say that Colossal Con, of the cons I've been, is the most intuitive one to have a cruise for me.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Because it's very much a party con, and like cruises are party atmosphere, so I can see why you would want to go. And it does seem like for the right type of person, it would be fun. It's just not really our thing, because like cruises are not accessible at all to my disability. And I will admit, for cons, like I like a little bit more immersion. If you're on a cruise, maybe like at most like 25% of the people there are going to be like con goers. The rest are just going to be random people on their vacations, and that appeals to me a little bit less.
Yeah.
Although it does sound like they have a lot of fun events.
Oh yeah.
But we're not a cruise podcast, and I'm sure they have plenty of informational material if you want to
figure that out. Yeah.
So I briefly stayed in that room for Are You Smarter Than a Magical Girl, Matoka Magica game show.
Yep. Which, again, looked to be running fairly well. It's just we don't know diddly squat about this particular... I was unclear if this was a particular Magical Girl show or if it was about Magical Girls in general.
We didn't stay that long.
Yeah.
We mostly just kind of stayed to see what it was. It looked like it was competently run and that people would have a good time in it. It's just we don't know much about anime or Magical Girls, so we decided it wasn't really going to be for us.
Yeah.
So then we went to the tabletop space.
Yep.
Which I do think they have a fairly good tabletop space for a con of this size. Because it is a section of the con floor. You enter it and it's just tabletop space. Outside they have one of those like giant chessboards that everyone doesn't actually play chess on, but mostly just kind of moves the pieces around.
Pretty much.
And a Jenga board and a couple of other things that I think kids over the weekend enjoyed. And they have 2 rooms on either side that are just open tabletop space.
Yep, which was pretty good. They did have a small board games library. And you could also buy... There was a stall back there that was selling board games.
I will say the board games library is my favorite setup of a board games library. You can just take the game. You don't have to do anything. You just take the game and then you return it.
When you're done. Nice and simple.
You don't have to give them your ID. You don't have to give them their con badge. You don't have to like sign out on a sheet. You just take the game and then you just return the game. I love it.
Yep. So,
I get why those other systems exist, but I just appreciated the trust that we would just play the game and then return the game.
Which we did.
Yep.
Played some Azul. What was the second thing we played?
We played Hues and Clues.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's Hues and Cues, technically, even though it probably should be titled Hues and Clues.
I think it's Hues and Clues.
Yeah. And I think just because we had so much nervous energy, we were having a blast doing that.
Yeah. I see geese.
Nice.
But yeah.
And it had open seating, which I think was nice. And I will say, because seating in this con is pretty lacking in the hallway space. It's almost always packed, and there are definitely people sitting on the floors a lot.
A lot.
And this is a space that generally does have empty seating.
Yeah.
I would say if you're not playing a game, it kind of might be a little rude to take some of that seating. But if you're playing a game, or just, casually playing like a game minorly while you're mostly eating your lunch,
then fair enough.
And yeah, we were just, what we call con drunk at that time period. No alcohol, but I think just a mix of like tired and nervous energy where we were just like laughing hysterically playing this game.
Yep. I mean, you said the word vomit 3 times, and it just made me laugh really hard. So
Yeah.
you know,
And you don't know what the color blue is.
that we have established. But anyway,
So, you ready to talk about the in-character cosplay contest? Because that's what we did next.
that was what we did next. So yeah, so the application process for this was basically you go online, you say I want to be in it. You say what your thing is. You could either sign up individually or as a pair. Was there an option for larger groups than pairs?
I didn't see anything that would have like excluded that. Like the form just had, because I signed up online because I do all the 4Con planning.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see anything that would have excluded a larger group had you wanted to do a larger group. I do think at a certain point you would have run into microphone problems because there were only so many mics on the stage.
Yeah.
But there was nothing that like suggested that you wouldn't have been able to do a larger group if you wanted to do.
Yeah, I think that's probably a fair assessment. So yeah, this was 20 groups. As I said, it was probably about 12 to 15 of those people were just individuals, and then there was a few pairs like us.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is one that they hard capped the number of entrants.
Yep.
There was also a wait list, which was basically, if somebody didn't turn up, you might, or somebody had to pull out beforehand, you might get in that way. Mm-hmm. But this is one where they are very strict about, did you sign up in advance? Are you on the approved list? Great, then, And they wanted you to turn up about an hour before it was due to start.
So prior to this, I had to I sent a couple verification emails. One email I had to verify that we were going to be in the contest. Then we had to go by the cosplay info booth to basically get a sticker that allowed us into the main event space before it opened, so we could sit down, get a rundown, and do setup. We were asked to be there at 4. They weren't that strict about that. No. We got there at 4.
Again, it's basically in case of the room closed for the previous, between the previous event and this one, closed from 4 until 5. So it was turn up in that time period. The closer to 4 it is, the more prep time you're going to get. But it's improv. You shouldn't need that much prep time.
Yeah. And keep in mind with improv, it is supposed to be kind of off the top of your heads, but with most people who do professional improv, they do have kind of some jokes and bits or some things that they have planned out in advance that they bring up to the humor.
We kind of knew what our thing
Pretty
was
much
going to be.
everyone did. So this takes place over 3 rounds. For the first round, you do a 30-second monologue, or in the case of 2 or more people, a duet.
Yep.
Then the second round is, they mentioned it at the con, they always kind of choose that a little bit randomly. In this case, they interviewed you, or the audience asked you questions and you answered in character.
Yep.
And then the third round, they bring somebody up from the audience to participate with you, and you include them in your improv skit.
Yeah. And you get given a line from the audience that you have to either end on or begin on. Mm-hmm. That's basically how that works.
Yeah, and it's such a unique event. We watched it in 2023, and I've wanted to try it ever since. Mm-hmm. We didn't get in last year, and we also had another con we wanted to go to, which is part of why we decided not to go to Colossal that year.
Yep.
But this year we got in, and I was like, okay. I was also worried because Barbenheimer was an old meme, and I'm like, is anyone really going to appreciate this in 2025? Everyone in this room was immediately on board with this idea.
Yeah.
People were taking our pictures while we were sitting and waiting.
Yep.
It was great.
Yep. So the hosts kind of explain. Hi, Emma. The hosts basically explained kind of how the process was going to work, mm-hmm. and it was a case of everyone would get their 30-second monologue. Then for round 2, they would bring 10 people back up, or 10 groups. So basically, the field will get cut in half. Then for round 3, field cut in half again to 5. Mm-hmm. And there was a judging panel.
Yep.
Relatively straightforward process, so they kind of led us backstage before they let people in.
And keep in mind the judging process, and they explained this, and I think it was true, is just who do we want to see more of?
Yeah, they freely admitted that there is one word written on the judge's guide, and it's the word vibes.
Yeah.
So I think we went 3rd in the procession.
Yeah, we went 3rd in the procession. We were backstage for most of it. It was a bit confusing. So we went up and did our 30-second skit. I will admit, after the skit, I was
you were in a bit of a rough headspace.
I was not the only person backstage that was in a rough headspace. And it wasn't because of
it was not because the con handled anything badly. It's
No,
just
it was mostly just I was so impressed by everyone. I'm like, I don't even deserve to be here. Our stuff was like horrible. All their stuff was great. Like that was the feeling.
Yeah.
And I was just feeling so inadequate about myself.
Like we went into this hoping we might make it to the second round.
Yeah, that was our goal.
Yeah. Make it to the second round, have fun with it.
And I do want to emphasize, like, in terms of this being a competition, quote unquote, it's not really.
No.
Like, I want to be clear, the person who won this was fantastic and absolutely deserved to win it. But it's also something for which some people clearly went in there with one joke. They did that one joke, and they were happy to, I think, like, not make it past the first round because they got to do their one joke.
Yeah.
And it's also just kind of like, it's not a very serious competition. It's meant to be silly fun. You shouldn't feel bad if you didn't win, because honestly, getting up on that stage and making the audience laugh is the main goal. You're there to be entertainment.
Exactly. Which, again, was one of the things that the hosts did pretty much brief us on beforehand, which was like, if you wanted them to assist you in your skit in some capacity towards the end, like, if you wanted them to come on and drag you off stage, which somebody did, they were quite happy to assist you with that. Because...
And the time limits weren't strict. They did say that, where it's just like, it's 30 seconds-ish. Just try to be quick. Yeah,
like, again, as long as you're not obviously up there for like 2 minutes, you'll be fine.
Yeah. And I think the third round was supposed to have a time limit. I don't think anyone bothered even keeping track of it.
They did not mention it to us.
Yeah, I think it was just until the skit naturally ended.
Yeah. But no, and the two hosts were really fantastic. The trouble is, I can remember the name of one of them because he's got a really memorable cosplay name. I can't remember the other one.
They're on the website. I will shout them out later. But the hosts are fantastic. They dress in these ridiculous. Both years we attended, they've dressed in these ridiculously elaborate, sparkly outfits.
Yeah.
They play with the contestants. There's one contestant who I think's done this for like the past 5 years, who just goes every year to basically mess with them and him mess with them. It's very fun.
Yeah. Because again, this is a fun event that's designed to be silly. And I would love to see more cons do this.
I would too. Like, the thing is, I really don't feel like there's enough opportunities to like play as your character in cosplay, which is what I love about both cosplay chess and the in-character contest. And I think it says something that we saw a lot of people at both of these events.
Yes. Yeah, there were a lot of people who were kind of either doing both or involved in both.
Because they love that type of character work like we do. So I was backstage having kind of a bad time of it, just kind of wanting to leave and get it over with. And then our name was called for the second round. And I'm like, wait.
Our name was called first. And for the record, they explicitly said these are in no particular order. I completely believe that they were in no particular order.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we went back up on stage because we made it to round 2.
Yeah.
And I do want to take a moment before we go into detail about that to talk about how nice it was backstage. Like, I don't mean in terms of the space. The space was just behind a screen.
Like, people gave us a high five after we came off the stage the first time. They didn't the second 2 times. We'll talk more about why, but it was not on that.
It was not on that. It was, but like, there was just a really nice atmosphere of everybody was congratulating each other. Everybody was just like...
Yeah, and I want to emphasize like why I was feeling bad at the end of the first round. It's just I felt so outclassed by all the amazing improv that was happening. And like, I'm sure if I had told somebody, they would have helped. I just didn't want to make it anyone else's problem while they still had to perform. And you were helping somebody who still had to go up because they were just a little bit nervous, and I think found your cool British voice soothing, which it is. And you were helping them.
They just needed somebody to talk to.
And they weren't doing anything wrong, and you were happy to help them.
I was quite happy to chat with them and kind of help keep them calm. They were unfortunate in that they were going last.
Yeah. And that kind of stinks going last because you're building up all this energy for so long. So I'm glad they had you to talk to.
Yeah. We basically just got them chatting about their prop because they had a really cool prop.
Yeah.
It was this big light up spoon thing.
So we were called for the second round, and because we were just first, I think, out of the people who moved on, because we were third in the turn order, and I think the 2 people before us didn't move on, which, to be clear, they were still fantastic.
Yeah.
And I do want to emphasize, because 1, we were backstage where it was hard to hear the audio, and 2, because half the time you were either preparing improvs or trying to like psych yourself up or calm yourself down, it was hard for me to keep track of exactly who did what. I think for you too. We did remember more at the end, because at the end we did just kind of watch, because we were first each routine, we could just watch the other routines.
Yeah.
At least when we weren't talking to people.
Yeah. So we went up, we did the second skit where we were getting interviewed by the audience.
Yep, which thankfully, like, we didn't have any time to rehearse because we were the first people on. And keep in mind with improv, you do kind of rehearse your bits a little bit before you go on stage. So everyone else was backstage rehearsing what they would want to do or like what stuff they would want to bring in. We didn't have time to do that.
Nope, we just had to roll with it.
And I was proud of us because, again, we knew the characters well. We worked in some bits. I got everything I wanted to get done. And, we left stage feeling satisfied. I think at that point, neither of us expected to move on to the third round. We're like, we did what we came here to do.
We did, yeah.
So we chatted to people backstage and watched the other skits, and we're having a blast at that point.
Yeah, like, because again, by that point, you'd achieved the goal you wanted,
Yep.
which meant you'd kind of moved past the nervousness.
But I want to be clear that everyone there was so fantastic. They were brilliant with their work. Like, it was so cool.
Yeah. Like, I'm confident the audience had a really good time.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then, we got to the third round, or the calling of who will be going up for the third round.
And they said again in no particular order. I assumed if we were going to be called again, we were going to be called first because we were called first last time. So we didn't hear our name. I'm like, oh, we didn't move on. That's okay. I'm really excited to write the rest of these skits from the audience.
Yeah. They called 4 names, and we're like, okay. And I was 100% convinced that there was a group up there who were doing a Bungo Stray Dogs routine. I was 100% convinced they were going to be pick number 5.
I still remember them. They also did the same characters. I was obviously different improv from 2023. I still remember them. They are great at character work.
They really are. Yeah, like I was convinced it was going to be them. I was happy for them. And then they called out our group name. They called Barbenheimer. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, we were both just completely not prepared for that.
Nope.
And then we had to go on stage because, again, we're still first in the turn order. And they're like, okay, pick somebody to improv with because the third round is improving with somebody. We're like, we have no idea how to do that. We kind of weren't prepared.
So we picked somebody basically at random.
They were great, by the way. I think their name was Kylie. I'm hoping I'm getting that right. They said it was okay for me to say it.
Yeah. They were dressed as Dr. Stone from, I think, Dr. Stone.
Yeah.
We don't watch anime. But once again, we had to go first, despite being called 5th.
So we did not have any time to prepare a bits. And this is what I was talking about when people backstage didn't congratulate us the second or third time. I'm sure they would have had they been watching, but they were prepping. Yeah. That is fine.
So we were kind of congratulating them as they came off stage, and then there was a lot of really nice camaraderie at the back and forth of, oh my god, you guys were great.
Yeah. Which was very sweet. So we didn't have as much time to prepare, which I do think put us at a little bit of a disadvantage for both rounds.
Yeah.
But, I'm proud of getting to the third round going first. So, that's just amazing.
Yeah.
So I think, not to say that we're, better than anyone else, because I really don't think we are.
No. Again, everybody in this competition did phenomenally.
Yeah, we talked to one of the judges afterwards, and they said this was the hardest judging they had ever had for this competition because of how great everyone was. So yeah, we had fun. Our bit, because we kissed at the end, because we had to do that.
Yeah,
we were shipping Barbenheimer the entire thing. We had questions about us being in a relationship in the second round, so we did that. We got the woo from the audience I wanted.
Again, this is the advantage of being married, is you can pull that shtick.
A group that I really, really loved won.
Yeah.
Pretty much anyone on stage could have taken it at that point, and I'm excluding us because I'm not judging us.
Yeah.
But I had anyone else in that top 5, just honestly anyone. The only difference between people who didn't make the top 5 is I just didn't see their last skit, so I couldn't judge them on that. Yeah. But I honestly don't think there was a person in that performance who I wouldn't have loved to have won it. So.
Yeah, I would concur with that.
So yeah, we got back on stage. They announced the winner. It was not us. That's absolutely fine. I am incredibly proud of us doing it.
I think we did very well. I'm very happy we made it as far as we did.
And the winner absolutely deserved it, to be clear. The person who got second place deserved it. Third place was mostly a joke to give the people who were messing with the host the entire night an embarrassing photo of the host. I'm also fine with that. It was hilarious.
Yep.
I
apparently that's an ongoing bit of just every year they deliberately screw with the hosts.
Yeah, so they gave them an embarrassing photo that they'll probably, if they do the in-character contest next year, will probably bring out.
Probably.
They also went all out. They gave a bunch of gifts and stuff like that. They were great. So.
Yep. Hey, you threw a thing of bubbles into the audience.
Yeah, I did. I almost hit somebody.
It's fine. You only almost hit somebody. But, yeah. You also had the thing where you pulled out the deodorant and offered it to the host. So
oh, yeah, I remember that.
They were not the only ones screwing with the hosts for comedy.
Yeah.
But the hosts are also good at knowing that screwing with the host for comedy is a very valid choice.
Yep. It was crumble cookie strawberry deodorant.
Yes, it was.
Strawberry donut deodorant, technically. So yeah, after they announced the winners, there was no you could tell no one on stage was upset.
Oh yeah,
everyone was so happy.
There was a lot of hugging and just yeah.
So we had fun. We hugged the winner. I think gave us a hug. We were talking to the person who actually wound up winning for most of the night backstage. They were great.
Yeah.
And the second place person also gave us a hug, and we complimented them. They were also great.
Yep.
And yeah, it was just a bunch of hugging, having fun, chatting with the judges, changing my shoes because
yeah.
I walked off stage and my feet, which had not been in pain for the past 2 hours, were immediately in a lot of pain.
Yeah, it's
adrenaline's great.
Yeah, it was very much one of those like you were clearly in pain. Your body just hadn't, or your brain just hadn't realized it yet because your brain was just like, nope, this is too important. Ignore the pain. Ignore the pain. Ignore the pain. Okay, the thing is done. Pain.
And I will say, I think earlier that week, I'm like, is it dumb that we mostly came to this con to take place in this one silly competition?
Turns out, no.
Yeah.
We had a blast.
We did. And had we not gotten to the third round, we still would have had a blast.
We would.
Because I do like to be careful about that. It's not like, I try not to knock contests that we don't do well in as being more unfair than ones that we don't. It's a silly competition. We've gotten what we want out of it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really happy with that. We might enter again, and if we don't make it that far the next time, as long as we get an audience laugh, that's really what it's about.
It is.
Like, I'm actually tearing up. It was so much fun. I really hope the audience had a great time.
Yeah. We're already coming up with ideas for next year.
We don't know if we're going to be in the country next year.
We don't. We are hoping to be in the UK next summer, whether or not that's possible.
We could go to other Colossal Cons, because they all have this event.
True. I don't think it's worth driving to Texas. We did the drive to Texas that one time for Thanksgiving with your family.
It was an interesting experience.
Yeah. That was the first time I met your family.
Are we lost again?
No.
Yay.
We're on the 77 South. We stay on this for the next 80-ish miles, and then we turn off for home.
I'm just checking.
Uh-huh.
Because you would have driven us to Pennsylvania.
Maybe. Would have been funny.
So yeah, that was amazing. We were on such a high after that, and again, we were walking around the con for a bit just because we needed to like clear our heads after that because the adrenaline was just coursing.
Yeah, we did get a few people like come up to us and tell us they liked their bits, and if any of those were you, thank you. That means a lot. It really does.
Yeah, we didn't get the loudest cheer because they asked who the audience thought should have won. They were between the two sketches that were probably both very good sketches. I was not upset about not being an audience favorite to those two sketches. One of which did win, I think. So
yeah, one of them was the Hatsune Miku one.
But it was just incredibly fun to do, and I'm proud of us for doing what we did.
And for the record, you and I rag on Hatsune Miku for being at every convention. This was the best version of it I've seen.
It was great.
Because the entire shtick was just like, Hatsune Miku is basically a robot. So this was a malfunctioning one. So they had their tech support with them, who was like a very irritated person who kept having to like plug in and type on their laptop to get them to do anything.
Yeah.
And those two played it to a T.
They did. Yeah. Thank you to everyone who was like awesome and supportive, and thank you for making this such an awesome experience. So yeah, we walked around the con. A bunch of people did like compliment us on our performance, which was awesome.
Yep.
And then we walked into the dating game with Scarlet Mafia.
Yep.
Our first us plus 18 event,
I think that was the only 18 plus one we did.
Because we did not stay late most of these nights.
Yep. If you've ever seen the show The Dating Game, this is another one that turns up a lot at conventions because it's fun.
Yeah. It does vary a little bit in how serious it is. Thankfully, 99% of this time, it was not serious.
Yeah, like, you are not actually trying to get a date with anybody. You are playing in character and, like, seeing who would date.
And yeah, Scarlet Mafia, I think, is the burlesque group they have, because they have burlesque shows.
Yep.
Burlesque is fun. It's just not something we tend to choose, and it was also fairly late at night, so we did not go. But I will say this group is fantastic. I really loved how they ran this game.
Yeah, this was great. So basically, the way they did it was they had a member of their group come up to be the person asking the questions,
yep.
And in character, and a bunch of people from the audience came up as the three people.
Mm-hmm.
The three people who were attempting to get a date.
And you were like, I'm not going to volunteer because I just did a bunch of improv stuff and I don't want to do anymore. And I'm like, I immediately want to volunteer.
Yeah, because that's the difference between us. The second we do a thing like that, I need a break, and you're immediately like, I want to do more. I want to do more. I want to do more.
Yeah.
So you didn't get onto the first person.
I don't think I tried the first round just because I was still like, getting a feel for how it worked. Because I don't want to if the dating game's actually, because we came in a little bit late just because we were walking around, not like horribly late. We saw like the first thing, but if a dating game's like actually seriously like about dating somebody, I'm married, obviously, and
Yep.
that's just kind of awkward.
Yep.
So I didn't want to like volunteer if it was actually about dating somebody, which occasionally they are.
Yeah.
But when it was clear this was silly fun, I'm like, okay, I was just Barbie for like 2 hours. I can do it for like
Yep.
10 minutes.
So you got picked to go up for the person who was cosplaying as Yennefer.
Yep.
Which meant you've not seen The Witcher. You've
I've
not
not.
played The Witcher games. I immediately, like as you were standing up, like grabbed your arm and just told you a particular fact about this
It
character.
involves a unicorn. That's
It
all we'll
involves
say.
a unicorn, and anybody who's read the books and or played Witcher 3 knows exactly what I'm talking about with regards to the unicorn. And I was like, this is important information you need to know. Told her the unicorn fact.
And then I, of course, immediately wanted to go up because that person is my spirit animal.
Yep.
Animal I identify with.
Yep. So yeah, you went up. You you played. You were just being Barbie.
I was being Barbie.
And you just had a great time with it. You did work in the unicorn fact.
I did, and it was audience vote. The audience votes, I think, decided.
Yeah,
who
it was
won.
just the loudest cheer.
And I got the loudest cheer. Again, it's not like winning this means anything. It's just entertaining people. But I did get a sparkling inflatable tube for a pool because they were just giving random prizes to people who won.
Yep.
And the person who I was the cosplayer, like
The Yennefer.
Yennefer.
Can't remember the actual person's.
Yeah, sorry. She was very, very sweet, and she like ran back to her booth to get me a sticker because she really wanted me to have a sticker, and that was just so adorable.
It was. Yeah, and we kind of stayed and watched that through.
Yeah. Plus, I was doing a one person I think was just sitting in front of the like crowd to like watch us, and I was doing like stare downs with that person a lot of the time.
Was that the Scruffy?
Yeah, it was Scruffy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Burlesque crew had great stage presence, as you would expect. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed watching all the people come up and just laughing and having a good time. It's part of why I love the game. And some people were role playing, some people were just being themselves and making jokes, and it was great.
Yeah, like everybody understood the assignment. Yeah, it was fun vibes. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. What did we do after that? Because we left that room and then came back to it later for the Beyblades thing.
Yeah, so we briefly, and I do mean briefly, checked out the Mega Wrestling Championship, which was an incredibly popular event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that room was absolutely chocker.
Yeah.
In part, like we went in there briefly, decided there was no chance of getting a seat. You know, like if we'd been comfortable leaning up against a back wall, would have been fine. But yeah, but people seem to be having a lot of fun. But we didn't stay for terribly long.
No, it was just. It's one of those things where I think if we'd been like down and like into the plot lines, it would be a little bit more fun. It'd be pretty easy to get into if you could see like the start of a match, but it was pretty crowded the entire time. Even though people were ducking in and out of the room, and we just decided that we were kind of not in the mood for it. But it seemed very competently run.
Yeah.
And like there's people who I've seen talking a lot about the wrestling and how awesome it was this year. So.
And again, we've seen cosplay wrestling before. It can be a lot of fun. You got a tribble thrown at you by Captain Kirk at one point.
We also got Captain Kirk like punching somebody out next to me, saying I should have picked him for a date.
Yep. Well, that's because we've been playing the dating game with the wrestlers earlier at that. But that was a completely
different. The dating game is great.
Yeah, that was a completely different.
It was a completely different con, I think, with different wrestlers.
Yep.
The point is, cosplay wrestling is great. I'm glad it's getting popular.
Yep.
And then we also, kind of briefly, but for a couple dances, went into the Sakura Springs formal ball featuring the Triforce Quartet.
Yeah. So it's very common for anime conventions to have a formal ball. This one had a string quartet, like an actual professional string quartet, playing nerdy music that you could dance to.
And they did fix, because when we went 2 years ago, they had a formal ball, but it was in one of the smaller rooms, and because Colossal Con is so popular, there was like no room to dance, because it was like just one of the side event rooms, and it just didn't have enough space.
Mm-hmm.
This year they put it in Maine, and they got a string quartet, so like they have definitely improved this event.
Yeah.
And people went all out. I saw some great ball gowns.
Yeah, there was some stellar stuff on display. Like, you felt underdressed.
Yeah. They really do.
Yeah. Because you were in your Barbie dress, which was, again, a little less showy, a little more, like, form-fitting, like, you know, not as ball gowny. But, like, we had a couple of dances. We had fun. We got to do some fashion watching for a bit.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. They played a variety of different songs, and it is kind of all a bit very, like, posh and fun to just have a string quartet, like, serenade you at a ball.
Again, the violinist in me was looking at me and going, ooh, very nice.
So then we went to Beyblade Beatdown, which I'll admit I mostly went to. I've been to Beyblade tournaments at cons before, just kind of as a sit-down event, but I heard from the host that they were going to be hosting the Beyblade tournament after the in-character contest, which go on them, because those are two high-energy events with only a 2-hour break.
Yeah, those guys. I do not want to know what their blood caffeine levels were this weekend. I suspect they were high.
But they were funny, and I liked them a lot. They have great stage presence. So.
They do.
I decided we would go. I wasn't expecting to stay for the whole thing. I got weirdly into it. I don't think you did.
Again, I was a little tired.
Well, this is one of those things. Is like when I have a good positive experience, my adrenaline spike just lasts way longer than your adrenaline spike.
Yeah, I was kind of hitting the lull after the adrenaline.
I was not. My adrenaline was still just peak.
Yeah, like I could have pushed through it, and maybe we should have. Again, I felt a little guilty, like leaving Emma at the Airbnb, and yeah.
Yeah, Emma didn't really get situated at the Airbnb, so and she was
because it was a sucky Airbnb.
Well, I think that was the night where she had because although Emma's trained, she does have nightmares because she was rescued from a hoarding situation. I think it was the night she had one, right?
It was the Thursday.
Yeah, it was Thursday night going into Friday.
Yeah.
So yeah, you were tired, I think, because you were just up all night. Because generally, what we do when that happens is I'll give her to you, just because we found that if we switch her scenery, she tends to calm down pretty quick because she thinks she's away from whatever triggered it.
Yep.
Because with dogs and I think most other animals, if they associate the place where they're immediately in with the stressful experience, even if it has nothing to do with it. So just moving them to a new spot works.
Yep.
I don't think it worked this time just because the space we were in was so incredibly small.
Yeah.
So she just wouldn't calm down, and you didn't want to wake me back up because I was in that stage of sleep where
Yeah. So basically, I was up from about 3 a.m. that day.
So that's understandable, and I probably should have considered that a little bit more that night. So I'm sorry if I was pushing you to stay too long.
It's okay.
Anyway, do you want to explain what Beyblades are for anyone who's uninformed?
So anybody who's not a 90s kid,
or early 2000s
or early 2000s kid, Beyblades are basically spinning tops, but they wanted to make them appeal to boys. So the principle of Beyblades is you put 2 spinning tops next to each other and you make them fight.
And it was done with these commercials that I'm sure were very effective on the 10-year-old boy demographic because it's spinning tops. That's all it is.
But they were very good commercials. Whichever company did those, you did a really good job. Mm-hmm. You sold a lot of plastic tats to a lot of very impressionable boys. But they make it out to be this epic, gladiator-style combat thing with spinning tops. But Beyblade tournaments crop up occasionally at cons, and yeah, it's pretty much what it sounds like. You just play Beyblades against each other.
But the hosts try to make it into they try to make it like those commercials where they're just talking about
the blood and the violence and the and the intensity. At one point, one of the Beyblades misfired and kind of fell out of the arena and rolled near the referee. And obviously, this was an attempt to kill the referee, and
And I will say the nice thing about this is it was a $5 entry fee, and that was mostly just to pay for a trophy or something like that for the winner.
Yep.
And $5, I hope to most people is not that much, yet if it is to you. But that did mean there were some people who I think they just wanted to do it as a laugh. So there was one person who I think just went up there and they lent them a Beyblade and they played one round and hit the ref twice.
Yeah.
And the ref showed them how to work the Beyblade. It was so adorable.
It was great.
And everyone was very supportive of it.
Because again, everybody understood the assignment. This is going to be silly. We're going to take it very seriously.
Yep. And they had a screen to project the Beyblades because it's a small top and a small arena for Beyblades. You need a camera on it if you're going to show it to an audience. But they had a good camera and we were up at the screen, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, they had another head camera set up, so they did a great job there.
Yeah.
And that was the point at which we tapped, which I know you kind of regret.
A little bit. I was having a lot of fun at that event, but I do think at that point I might have forgotten that or I think I had forgotten up until now that you didn't sleep well the night before. Yeah. Which I think is fair.
Yeah. And we were still attempting to pace ourselves a bit.
Yeah. It was just mostly that night my adrenaline spike never went down. I did get some sleep, but I woke up at 6 a.m. the next day just because my adrenaline was still running just from the cosplay competition and how happy it made me feel. Again, thank you to everyone who was involved in that because I know it's a lot of work, and just know that you made at least one person feel incredibly happy. Yeah. And that wasn't even the person who won. Yeah,
based on the amount of jumping and hugging and other nonsense that was happening backstage, you made a few other people happy as well.
Yeah.
I think the audience enjoyed it.
I think so too. Most of the people who were there at the start were there at the end.
Yes.
And it's pretty common for panels for people to come in and out, particularly at a con like this, just because there's other stuff you want to do, or you might be waiting for a friend, or something else is happening.
Yeah.
But I do think you said I didn't really get a good look at the audience because I was deliberately trying not to look at the audience for most of it. There were a lot of people still there at the
Yeah,
finals.
the room was still pretty full by the right at the end.
And to be clear, I do think it was completely full at the beginning.
Yeah, near enough.
Because when we were walking in, people were already lighting up, and that was an hour early.
Yeah. Because again, they let us in early because obviously we were taking part.
So we're finally on to Saturday.
Yay! Saturday. Isn't it good? I got us slightly lost.
I will say Saturday is the one day we came in with a plan for, just because we knew it was going to be like chaos bonkers, and we wanted to avoid that.
Yep.
So we got there and immediately went to the House of Robotic Destruction, because that's a great place to avoid chaos. I love this group, by the way.
They are great. So the House of Robotic Destruction is pretty much what they sound like. They're a robot fighting group.
Yep. So if you've seen BattleBots or Robot Wars or one of the various like shows that have happened kind of sequentially, I think, since like the early 2000s about like robots fighting.
Oh, 90s. Like,
yeah.
Robot Wars was the 90s. I was a young ass kid when it was on.
Yeah, I've seen iterations of this same thing. There's a couple different versions of it, but this is basically a couple robotics clubs that build robots and fight them, and also have like excellent camaraderie about it.
Yep.
So from what I can tell, it's like a couple different groups who have several different robots, and there are 3 classes of robot that they fight.
Yep. Oh, what I will say is, I get the impression they fight heavier robots at their like home events, but for this one, the arena they can transport here can only safely handle up to a certain size class. Yep. So there's the 150 grams robots, which are tiny. There's the 1 pound robots, and then there's the 3 pound robots, which are the biggies. Yep.
And they name the robots ridiculous things like Yo Mama, because they have a commentator at this event who has to say, like...
Yeah. So, your mama was pushing whatever the other robot was up against the wall. No, wait, that doesn't sound
Your
right.
mama was pinned against the... No, it's even worse.
Yeah.
The host is great. There are a couple kids that are playing, which is always very cute, but the adults, for the most part, are very, like, camaraderie about it. There was a joke robot called Drinky Bird that had one of those little drinky birds at the top as its weapon.
Yeah, its weapon was one of those like perpetual motion drinking bird machines that used to be like a popular desk toy. Which it was not an effective weapon, but it was very funny. But the one thing I do want to really highlight this group for is their intense commitment to safety.
Yes.
Because obviously these are robots with like, some of them have spinning blades that move very, very quickly. You know, like, this stuff could be very potentially dangerous, and they are very strict on their safety rules, and I want to respect them.
Yes, they have a giant, I'm sure, rated plastic cage that has dings in it because you can tell it's been used, but is perfectly safe. It's been tested. They only open one door of that plastic cage at once to keep stuff extra safe. If there's ever a battery showing at all, they stop the match immediately.
Yep. Like, honest to God, it reminded me a lot of HEMA tournaments I've attended. Where HEMA, for anybody not aware, is historical European martial arts. It's my preferred exercise method. I haven't really been able to do much of it since I came over to the US. But it's medieval sword fighting. And safety in the HEMA community is very, very serious and important because we are doing very dangerous things. We are hitting each other with swords. And while we're not lunatic enough to hit each other with sharp swords, even a blunt sword is dangerous. So, for example, your mask gets knocked off at a HEMA tournament, everybody stops the match immediately because your safety equipment is key. And that was the same vibe I got from this group. This is a group that knows what they are doing is fun, but it could be dangerous if they do it recklessly, and so they are very, very careful about it, and I respect them for that.
We also saw them here in 2023. We loved them then. They are a great fun group. There's so much sportsmanship between them. They always, like, if a robot's, like, no longer able to fight, they won't hit it without getting permission first, so they don't wreck somebody else's bot, which is very cool. And they also, like, there are a couple times when, like, a bot was, like, pinned against the wall, and rather than just, like, having to use their unstuck thing or get it unstuck, because they're allowed to get their bot unstuck by the judge once. Yeah. People would just hit it to get the fight going again because they thought it was more fun.
Yeah, they would be just like, yep, okay, hit it.
Yep.
And there was one one guy who I was really impressed by, who'd set up a camera in the front of his small robot,
Yep.
which was live streaming footage to a pair of VR goggles he was wearing.
Yep.
So he could drive it in first person.
Yeah. He didn't win, and he knew he wasn't going to win, but he wanted to do that. And he's like, yeah, this is my first time having it fight. For the most part, I just did, like, tracks with it, but it's still fun.
Yeah.
I couldn't see the guy most of the time, because first-person view isn't actually good for knowing where your opponent is.
Yeah.
But he was having a blast with it. So
Yeah.
we might want to say they, them, because I don't actually know how it's pronounced.
But, like, again, it was just very fun to watch. We stayed there for a couple of hours. It was running for a decent chunk of the day.
It ran until, like, 6 p.m., so it went from 10 to 6.
Yeah.
They do take breaks, so they took a lunch break, and we left at their lunch break.
Yeah. And that's not because we weren't having fun. We were. It's just we had a different thing we wanted to go to after that. And again, this is an event that they clearly expected a lot of people to be going in and out of.
Yeah. And they said that at the start, just like, feel free to come back here and just sit down if you need a chair for a bit.
Yep.
I think it's smart.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. I definitely recommend it, and it's a great way for us to, like, just avoid the crowds, because we wanted to do this.
Yep. Because today we actually haven't mentioned the Saturday costumes yet.
Yes.
I was in normal clothes.
You were handling, because I was on a dress with the train.
Yep.
Which I'm currently calling Mother Nature. It's a new green dress that's a one-of-a-kind piece. It was made for a kid.
Yep. You fit in it fine.
Yeah, it was made for a fashion designer who does, like, very elaborate children's ball gowns. So because it was for kids, it was cheaper, but it has a corset back, and I'm a fairly petite person, so I can fit into it fine. So it's going to, I think right now it's a Mother Nature quote-unquote cosplay. I'm still kind of workshopping how exactly I'm going to use it.
Yeah.
But part of why we left is because we had a bit of a break before we went to the Federation, so we went back to Hibiscus Stitch's booth in the Artist Alley.
Yep.
To show her the costume I had with the frog.
Yep. Because
And
they kind of matched.
yeah, and they were immediately like, oh my god, I want your picture.
Yep.
It was great. So then we went to the Federation. You want to explain the Federation?
So the Federation is a group of, as you would suspect, Star Trek fans who do go to a lot of conventions. And they run various events at conventions. And I like them as a group. And they clearly go to Colossal Con, because they were here 2 years ago as well. And they get given, like, a room that's slightly out of the way. Well, the thing is, it's on one of the mainish corridors, but it's not, like, obvious that it's a panel room. And for some reason, and this is the thing I really don't understand, their events aren't listed on the main schedule. You have to find them on the, like, other stuff schedule.
And as evidenced by the fact that very few people were at the, like, outdoor events, I don't think a lot of people were, like, looking at the other schedule as much, because it's just not where you would think to look for events.
Yeah.
And I will admit, sci-fi is probably a little bit, and Star Trek in particular might be a little bit less popular in anime content. There definitely have to be some there's 20,000 people there. Presumably some of them like Star Trek and will want to go to Star Trek events.
Yep. So they do always feel like they're kind of put in the corner as an afterthought, which is a pity, because we like their stuff.
We do.
And the thing we went for in particular here was a 3-hour time block between 1 and 4, which was game shows.
Sci-fi game shows.
Yeah, because we love game shows.
This was run by Chris. I'm sorry, I don't know your last name, Chris. We watched him do it in. I specifically remember Chris, so I can shout him out.
Yeah.
We watched him do it in 2023, and we watched him, I think, also host games at MarCon and possibly one other convention that I'm forgetting.
We've definitely seen him at several other cons.
Yes,
but
he's a great game show host producer. Like a lot of game show host producers, he makes all his own software for the games, which is amazing.
yeah, I'm not sure he makes it or if it's one of his friends or.
Yeah, it's a bit unclear, but
Yeah. Oh.
it's software that's being developed for purposes of this.
Yeah.
And he tends to focus on Star Trek trivia, but he branches out, and I did overhear him saying that he tried to include anime questions this time, and he got a friend to help with that.
Yeah.
Which was great. And I thought the anime questions that did come up were pitched at about the right level.
Yeah. Because anime is actually a very hard thing to do trivia on, because like there's a few animes that a lot of people have seen, and
Like
then
Pokemon,
like
or
Pokemon
Dragon
or-
Ball Z.
Yeah. But frequently it diverges into people have like 2 or 3 anime they absolutely adore, but they haven't seen much beyond that. There are like serious anime nerds who have seen lots and lots and lots. They're in the minority.
So we started with Tic Tac Toe, which is a basic trivia panel where it's a tic tac toe board.
Yep.
And if you answer a trivia question correctly, you get a box.
Yep. So I
You
volunteered to
swept
play.
twice
Yeah.
by immediately getting all 3 answers you needed to win correctly in a row against some people who were very nicely volunteering despite not knowing that much about the category to make the panel work.
Yeah, I felt a little bad. There's a reason why he offered me the chance to stay on as like ongoing champion for the 3rd round, and I said no, let's give some other people a chance.
And some other members of the Federation, because they're the Star Trek group, did also volunteer to make the panels work. And a lot of people were just hanging out in the back of the room because seating, particularly at midday on a Friday, is limited, and they were eating lunch while watching. But
Saturday.
But yeah. I think people who were eating lunch in the room did have fun. So.
Yeah.
And we were definitely there to play.
Yeah, I had a blast. I don't get to nerd out about Star Trek that often anymore.
Well, it's for you what anime is to a lot of anime fans when they're really into it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you can still have that experience at the few Star Trek cons that exist.
Yeah.
I don't really have that. I mean, I guess that we went to the Degrassi panel that one time was like that for me. But it's very rare for me to have a topic that I love that much.
One of these days we're going to do that panel.
Yeah. What?
She once pitched to me the idea of a panel that was Next Generation versus Next Generation, which is a bunch of questions about which of these things is this Degrassi or is this Star Trek? Because both shows have a thing called The Next Generation, which I think would be pretty funny if we could find some weird ones.
I've already found one. We're not revealing that yet.
We're not revealing that one. That one's too good. But yeah,
maybe we'll do that for Starbase Indie.
That would actually be pretty funny at Starbase Indie. But yeah. So yeah, we stayed. We had fun. After Tic-Tac-Toe, sorry, it was Pyramid.
Most people have seen Pyramid, or at least I've seen Pyramid, which is basically it's like Heads Up if you ever played that. We're trying to get people to say a code word.
Yeah.
Which I like because it involves a lot of lateral thinking. Like sometimes you can say the person's name, but one of the persons who I think was Zachary Smith or something like that.
Zachary Smith.
And I just said most common last name. Because I didn't know who that was.
Yeah, it's Dr. Smith from Lost in Space.
Yeah. And yeah, I volunteered for that one because thankfully with Pyramid, even if you don't know that much, as long as you can get them to say the word, and we faced off against each other. And I was competitive. We were within a couple points of each other.
Yeah, we were within a few points of each other. But yeah, again, that was fun.
It was fun. I did like that this was a game where people were called up from the audience to play because I do think that works a little bit better to our taste how games are one than just random trivia being asked towards the audience generally.
Yeah.
And Chris is a really great host, so.
He is. Yeah, it was fun. I wish more people knew it was there.
I don't understand why it's not just put on the actual schedule. They have room for it.
Yeah, you could just slap an extra thing on that just says the Federation room or whatever the room's officially called. Just call it Event 9 or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why it's not. I just don't understand that.
Because it wasn't 2 years ago and it wasn't now.
Yeah, I don't get it. Just have it be on the regular thing. Is it just because they don't have to apply? I don't know.
Who knows? But again, they're a great group.
So, then it was time for the main cosplay contest. We did admit a couple.
Technically, it wasn't time for the main cosplay contest.
I was going to get there, but you didn't let me. You wouldn't let me do the transition correctly.
Oh, sorry. Did I screw up the transition?
Yes.
Okay. Love you.
Love you too.
So
let's rewind a bit to earlier this day. Because, look, accessibility at this con, just with how big it is I will admit, kind of mid. There are just some times where, for instance, rooms just aren't accessible because they have too many people in them. If you're in a wheelchair, it's very hard to get around. The market we were at earlier today.
Yeah.
They do have some systems for disabilities, but they're pretty much all come talk to us systems. And one of the things, if you're unable to stand in a line, I can't a lot of the times due to a large variety of factors. So I was just well, let's just go to the first day. I just went by Con Ops because I wasn't sure where else to go.
Yeah, and Con Ops were very good and basically said the specific people you need to talk to are the health and safety team. Here's where their little cubby is, and I was great, thanks.
And we did this very early on Saturday. It was the first thing we did just to make sure that there wasn't a massive line.
Yeah.
So we did that. We went over to the box. You talked to the person for a second. I sat down and I got a disability access sticker put on my badge, which I do like the fact that it is tiny.
Yes.
Like, it's very small. You would not notice it unless you were like way too close to my badge.
Unless somebody was unless you were having it actively like held up to show to somebody.
Yeah. And as somebody with an invisible disability, I do appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's a little bit less invasive. It is still kind of hard to talk to somebody about that. And if you're not good at navigating a situation like that, it may be very hard for you to ask for what you need.
Yeah.
Like, it was hard for me to ask for what I needed.
Yeah, which is why generally in those situations you prefer to send me up to do it.
But they were very accommodating. I also appreciate they explained exactly how it worked.
Yes.
They said, here's how it works. There'll be a separate line, which there kind of sort of was.
Kinda, sort of.
You'll get into it. You'll get. You can take one person with you. That's our rule, which is not great, but I do get it. Just because it's a big con, so you do have to limit it somehow. But at the same time, most disabled people have more than one friend.
Yep.
So there might be other compromises you can make there.
Yeah.
So I had that on my badge because we had already written off the main cosplay competition. That's just not getting into bowl. But our friend, Pop Culture Choreography, was in it.
Yep. Yeah, she was competing.
She won last year and was brilliant. I did watch her. We were not there last year, but I did watch her routine on YouTube. It was really good. And her husband, JP, was there. And she had to lead. This is such a me thing to do. I think this is the reason why we get along.
Yeah.
She went this morning in for cosplay rehearsal. And then she left to go to, I think, a baby shower.
Yep. And then came back for the actual cosplay competition.
Is awesome. And keep in mind, it was like at least an hour drive.
Yeah, except that is the kind of crazy nonsense you do. Yep. So, you know.
But her partner JP was there and in line because he finished up his panel and basically got in line. You're technically only supposed to line up at Colossal Con an hour before the event starts. People kind of just ignore that.
Yeah,
for some of the events.
For the really big events, like again the main cosplay contest, people are going to be in line an hour and a half beforehand.
And I was still iffy on this because I didn't know if there was going to be a disabled access line. And keep in mind, with my disability, like I wouldn't be able to stand in a crowded hallway at all. Like I would have to be like off somewhere. Like I think our initial plan was for you to stand in line and me to like come in later.
Yeah.
Because JP was there.
He'd snagged a pretty early.
He stand in a pretty early spot that was like amazingly just enough out of the way that it wasn't going to be too difficult for me.
Yeah. And it also helped that, like, because you had him to talk to, it helped keep you, like, focused and distracted from, the things that, that make it harder for you to line up.
Yeah. And keep in mind, I will admit some of this is psychological, but psychological disabilities are just as real as physical disabilities.
Yeah. But we did check with the people at the front kind of what the procedure was going to be, given that you had the ADA.
And they were like, oh, there'll be an access line. The access line was just kind of in the hole. Like, I couldn't have stood in the access line, quite honestly, because it was just next to the VIP line out in the middle of the hallway, and there were a lot of... I would have just been completely overwhelmed by that. So thankfully, they didn't mind me, like, standing off towards the side and talk to JP.
Yep.
So we did that. We went in with the access people. We saw from the in-character cosplay contest the night before that they had some seats on the side of the stage that were next to the sign interpreter.
Yep.
That were disability access.
Yep.
And they had multiple sign interpreters, which is also a smart move.
Yep. They had, and again, those seats all had like covers on them that just said for disability access and handlers. Love to see that kind of thought. That was well set up, well handled. So yeah, we basically just took some seats there.
I was comfortable and I could watch the contest, and that was pretty much the ideal scenario. And I had written off this event and was able to attend it. So I will say that Colossal Con did disability right enough to make me be able to attend a bit that I thought I couldn't attend because of my disability. So that's pretty cool.
That's pretty good. But yeah.
Wasn't perfect, but I appreciate the effort that was put in.
Yeah. Then they let the VIPs in, then they let the regular people in.
Yeah, and we were told they would let the VIPs in before the disability access groups. But I think just because they had disability sanctioned seating where the VIPs couldn't sit anyway, they...
Yeah, it made sense to let them in. But yeah, the next thing that... and then they let everybody else in, and they basically sort of gave a bit of time for everybody who had that ADA requirement to come in, and then they basically said, okay, those seats are now just open to the public. Which meant that James ended up sitting with us anyway, or JP ended up sitting with us anyway. But again, at that point, they'd been open to anybody who wanted them. They weren't. They had more than enough accessibility seating, and I would rather they had more of it than they needed, and then opened it up to everybody rather than.
That's the right way to do it.
Yeah, that is the correct choice. So he managed to sit with us, which was good because that meant we all had pretty good seats to watch the contest.
Yep.
So the main cosplay contest. This is always a big draw at any con.
It's a big draw at any con, and I do want to say, because we don't attend cosplay contests often these days, just because we've gotten kind of bored with them. Long story. I think we've talked about it a bit before. But one thing I want to say, when we're viewing cosplay contests, we are not going to critique the winners. That is not okay.
Nope.
The winners deserve to have won. There are a lot of other people who probably also deserve to have won. We're going to talk about how amazing the cosplays are and stuff like that in the organization of the contest.
Yeah.
But it's not fair to say that somebody who won didn't deserve to win. That's just a not great thing to do.
Yes. Again, it mostly comes down to the fact that we're not convinced that cosplay should be a competition.
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about that before in the contest, because the winners definitely deserve to have won. There's also a lot of great other cosplay stuff that happened on that stage that I really wish could have gotten a shout out.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just one of those things where some cosplayers I think hate the everyone wins strategy. I legitimately loved everything I saw on that stage and wanted it all to win.
Yep. And again, we've talked about it in the past. Frequently, you will find that the cosplay that wins is not the one that looks coolest or is the most impressive. It's frequently the one the judges find the least stuff wrong with.
That does happen, but again, we are not critiquing the winners.
No, we are not.
And I liked all the winners. I also liked a lot of people who didn't win. I don't want to be a judge because it would break my heart to do so.
Yeah. Yeah, so the way this particular one worked was they had their skits and their masquerade first. Then they did a new thing called their Colossal Con Cosplay Circuit Cup.
They admitted themselves it was an incredibly clunky name.
Yeah, which we'll talk about in detail in a second. And then they had their main cosplay craftsmanship competition,
which is construction. So performance, the CC, whatever it is.
CCCC.
Yeah, and then the just kind of craftsmanship contest. These were combined into one event. That event was slated to last from 5 until 8, and they pretty much took the entire time.
Yeah, I think
it was very long.
Yeah, I think we got out of there at 10 to 8.
And I will admit, I was starting to feel the beginning of a headache at the start of this, which was not the con's fault. It was the fault of the fact that I woke up at 6 a.m. and sometimes when I wake up early, my eyes get overstimulated and then I get a tension headache, and that was starting to happen.
Yep.
Which is not anyone's fault but my body's.
Yeah. The body is occasionally dumb. And again, my body's occasionally dumb. Bodies are stupid.
So for performance, the host of this competition were the same as the in-character competition.
Yep.
They did keep us entertained with bits through most of the performance, which I thought was great.
Yep.
And they
no sparkly vests.
No.
Very disappointing.
But they clearly had a couple bits planned out with some of the performers. Like somebody, I think they had a bit planned out where the performer taught them a dance on stage, which was super cute.
Yep. But so 15 entrants for the performance category.
Bridget mentioned there were 30 last year. I think they cut it down in part to make way for the I'm just going to call it the Craftsmanship Cup. I don't know what else to call it.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I think that was part of it because it was, I think, a fairly long show anyway. So they cut it down to 15 to 30, which it's a very competitive competition to get into any of these competitions. You basically have to sign up the day that they open.
Yep.
Sign-ups.
But yeah, so everybody who performed on that stage was great. They some of them turned up with a lot of props and a lot of stuff, and there were some really good bits. There was somebody who was doing an Arcane-based thing that involved a quick change because they did the clip from Arcane of I can't for the life of me remember the character name when she's a kid, but Jinx. Transforming from young to young adult, or from child to young adult. And they did that with a quick change on stage, and that was impressive.
There was a Mario and Luigi tap dance routine with somebody, and I think their 70-year-old mom.
That was adorable.
Precious.
And yeah, just there was a lot of really cool stuff on that stage.
And I do appreciate that they, so I think this is the first year Colossal Con. I've seen some bigger cons do this where they have, for a performance, they have a back screen, which is like an LED screen that like can play images that you can use. Pop culture choreography / Bridget mentioned that wasn't pretty well communicated to performers, which I think stinks.
Yep.
But I am glad that at least some performers got to use it, because I do think it's a cool element to add, because these performances are so short, you can't really like decorate the stage a lot of the time. So having that backdrop, I think, is pretty cool, and I'm hoping more cons start to use that because it's just so fun.
It is. Like, it just gives you an extra level of flair.
Yeah, and they also had a lot of people helping, because a lot of some had quick change acts. I think you mentioned had like a black screen that they were using. So people were bringing on like flags and props. They had people involved in the competition that were making sure that everyone was set up on stage.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Like, the AV team must have done a lot of work with them during that rehearsal that morning to just like make sure they knew what was going on and when their cues were and a bunch of other stuff. Like, the AV team worked.
Yeah.
Also, somebody in the AV team is a sarcastic git, and I want to meet them because they kept putting up jokes on the board at the expense of the hosts.
They didn't misspell category though.
Yeah. Again, it was funny.
It was funny. They ran with it.
Yeah. But yeah. So again, that was fun. Then they did their cosplay cup thing.
So I don't even know how to begin to explain what this is.
So the way this is basically working is since there's now like 5 different Colossal Con events.
Soon to be 6.
Soon to be 6. The way this basically works is there's a bunch of like very high level cosplayers. These are all like people who've won Masters level competitions multiple times, kind of level, high level. We're basically told to create a really like cool show-stopping cosplay, and then the winners they're going to be hosting one of these like prelims at each Colossal Con, and then at next year's Colossal Con Prime, all of the winners of those will compete against each other for the like grand prize. And then they'll also be doing an additional prelim for the next year. I think that's basically it.
I think so. I'm still a bit confused about
the point.
Yeah.
Because that's what we need, more craftsmanship competitions.
These are extremely high-level crafts, and like all of these costumes did look amazing.
Oh yeah, like the ultimate winner was a ludicrously accurate Titus from Final Fantasy X.
But all of them also are like I understand why they did them for competition, because all of them very clearly built to make sure they showed off as much different techniques as possible. So they had sewing, most of them had embroidery, most of them had a prop that required either like foam or resin work, or belts that required 3D print. Like, it was just showing that they could do all the elements.
Yeah.
Which is, I understand why you have to do that for a competition, but like, no one's favorite piece is the piece where they did the most different elements.
It's the one thing that they like. It's the costume they built because of a passion for the character. And here's the thing: I'm not going to say that any of the people up there didn't have passion for the characters they chose. It's just, I feel like cosplay at a certain level loses the play, and I think that's a sad thing personally.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. Part of me is also just like, I don't understand who this is for. Like, the audience doesn't, I think, care all that. Like, I like seeing cool cosplays and stuff like that, but my favorites are just the ones that, like, people made because they're passion projects.
Yeah.
And, like, they are all extremely well made, and I don't doubt that all of these people are amazing artists. But I also just don't know if you need to have this, like, massive like, is that a draw that is going to bring, like, anyone in who wouldn't otherwise attend Colossal Con? So it just seems like it's kind of also taking away from the more amateur work that's going on.
Yeah.
Which is what I'm more interested in.
Yeah. Because the next thing was, just the main craftsmanship awards. Which, again, standard format for this, which was basically everybody got their name, their costume announced, walk across stage, 3 poses, and they did mark the stage, I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah.
With basically the 3 places you stood, and then walk off.
The audience was starting to feel cheer fatigue at this point.
Yeah.
Because you have to cheer for everyone, which you absolutely should do, because they're all amazing.
Yeah.
But when you have to do that at this point, like, I think at least 200 times,
yeah,
you're just a little like, I think my hands hurt.
But again, like,
nice. We passed exit 69.
Nice.
I won.
So, we saw some, a lot of really cool costumes.
It's hard to even describe them.
Yeah. And then at that point, so the interesting thing about this is,
we go back for a second?
Sure.
So I will say there was a little bit of confusion because, like most cosplay competitions, it's that novice, journeyman, masters. There was a little bit confusion, as there I think is typically cosplay competitions when you're shifting from one category to the next category.
Yes, I think they only did. Because
they announced the novice. Well, they announced the novice, and then I think maybe they did masters and journeyman because there was an award for masters and journeyman.
There was just an award for masters. They didn't do a journeyman.
They definitely did journeyman.
Sure.
I don't remember. It's fine.
I'm
sorry for messing this up.
Yeah.
I will point out by the time they were giving out awards, my headache was like full on at that point.
But yeah, so everybody walked across stage, did their whole bit. But the judging was interesting in this one, insofar as they had judges for the performance category. Then they kind of skedaddled, and the judging panel for the Cosplay Cup went up. But there was no judging panel for the walkthroughs, because all of those costumes had been pre-judged, and they clearly weren't doing any, like, some cosplay competitions include a, like, bonus points for stage presence. On top of the craftsmanship, some don't. This is one that clearly doesn't.
I honestly don't mind that, in part because it just makes the judging quicker if they don't have to tabulate that up, and in part just because, I don't think you should be penalized because you've never been on a stage before.
Yeah. But the judging still took ages.
Yeah.
And, they had a halftime show, but they, the host still needed to vamp a little bit.
I do appreciate when they have a halftime show, because half the time it's just the, MC asking the crowd random questions, and it's real awkward.
Yeah.
These MCs can carry it. I'll give them that.
Yeah, they can. But
I was just done. At this point, I was like, oh, how long is this dance? The dance was very good. Don't get me wrong. I had a headache. It was a very long competition, and awards were going to take another 20 minutes because they give away a lot of them, which is awesome. Yeah. But it was just a lot to get through.
Yeah. Okay. So they come back up, and there are 7 judges on stage, and there was a lot of double dipping with the judging. So several of the performance judges were also judging the cosplay contest, and the cosplay cup was all they had exactly one judge who was purely performance.
Yeah.
And this is a problem we have had, or we maintain is a problem with a lot of cosplay competitions, in that we kind of feel like those should be completely separate groups, because performance and craftsmanship are radically different things, and we'd rather have specialists judging each than people judging both, because they tend to lean towards being craftsmanship people. Not always, but often.
Which shouldn't factor into performance. Although I will say I did appreciate they had a separate competition for K and J pop dancing, which meant there weren't any K and J pop dancing in the performance competition, which I do appreciate, because generally if there's just an open call for a performance competition, it's 80% K and J pop dancing.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of Hatsune Miku's doing the same 5 anime dances.
Which I don't doubt is hard and difficult to do. I just prefer it to be a different competition.
Yeah, and the variety of the performances on this one was very, very good.
And I had no idea who was going to win.
Yeah.
So then they announced the winners. They weren't terribly great about reading names off sheets.
Yeah, I don't know. The actual the judges on this one didn't have a lot of stage presence. I'm going to be brutally honest.
Well, sometimes they don't, because they're craftsmanship people, and that's fine. It was more just, it feels like you should at least put some. Sorry, I don't want to be mean to them, but given that they had just awarded the performance awards, presumably, since they'd just seen the performances 10 minutes ago, it seems like they should have a better idea of the name of the person they gave the award. I get that a lot of them have cosplay names. It's hard to remember all of them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like you should kind of mentally prepare yourself to read a name.
But yeah, the thing that I found very interesting, that implies to me we might not be as wrong about this as we thought we might be. As I said, we don't really care about cosplay contests being a contest. We just want to see cool cosplay.
Yeah.
By the time we got to the judging, about half the audience had left.
Yeah, I probably would have left had we not been with JP and trying to support a friend who we didn't think would win something. So.
Yeah. We were hoping she would.
Yeah.
And basically a lot of people saw the show,
Yep.
left before the judging was announced because they didn't really care. Like, this is why I'm not convinced cosplay needs to be a contest. It can just be a showcase.
And I'll be honest, I absolutely respect the winners. I don't really remember who won that well.
Nope.
I remember the ones I liked the most.
Yep.
And I'm sure all the winners deserve to win. And I'm not, obviously, if I'm for construction, I didn't like see your lookbook or how much effort you put in, so I'm sure you did a lot of work. But I'm gonna remember stuff like, I think, like your lizard guy trying to maneuver on stage.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Or like the one I'm going to remember is the fact that somebody did Commissar Sebastian Yarrick.
Oh yeah, that was really cool.
With a motorized hand. If you're a 40k fan and you know who Yarrick is, this guy really went for it. He also had great stage presence. He was one of the few people who talked because he actually did it for the Emperor on stage.
And I think I would try to point that out as people, both of us, do creative work generally. Remember, with your creativity, even if you're not winning competitions, if you're doing something that an audience remembers, you've still won.
Yeah, you absolutely have. I'm pretty sure almost every costume up there was somebody in the audience's favorite.
Yeah. And every performance, I think, was somebody's favorite.
But again, that's the important thing to remember.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else we want to say about that?
I think we're good. I do think they might need to consider just splitting those into separate contests, because it was just, I will admit I had a headache, so I'm a little bit biased, but it was just very long.
Yeah. I think at this point I would prefer to have a separate masquerade that's got 10 more entries in it, and then a completely separate construction contest. Which doesn't need to be a contest, but anyway. So yeah, we then went back to the tabletop room. I paid $4 to get you some water, and then realised there was a fountain in the room.
Yeah, I was confused about that because I saw people around drinking. I also had a headache, so I was kind of tired at that point.
Yeah, so I went out to one of the concession stands, bought you a bottle of water, brought it back to you, and then realised that there was just a water fountain in the room.
Mm. And then I drank that. I felt a little bit better. We briefly tried to get into some panels, but I expected it to cool down a little bit just when the late night water park stuff happened, but the panel rooms were still packed at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Everything was full, and I just didn't really feel like fighting crowds at that point with a headache.
Yeah.
So we headed home.
So yeah, that was the point at which I think we had the biggest regret about not staying later on Friday.
Yeah.
Because
Friday was a little bit more navigatable. Bleh.
Navigatable?
That thing.
Navigable? I think both of those are acceptable.
So yeah, but again, it's hard to predict. The thing that I just am learning, and I told you this earlier, is just if we're in a panel and we're having a good time, let's not leave, because that's magic at a con, and I want to make sure it lasts long as possible.
Yeah. Which we will keep in mind for the future.
Yeah. But again, it's also, with this con, it's particularly difficult because there's stuff from 10 a.m. to 2 p. or 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. It's, if you wanted to do that, I don't know if anyone has, but if you wanted to do that for 3 days straight, Friday, Saturday, or Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, you could.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone's actually done that.
You're crazy if you did that, but I respect you for it.
If you've done that, please email us. I will give you a special ribbon. I'll make one and give it to you.
Just go, Jesus Christ, dude, calm down.
Yeah. That person is my idol. I want to grow up to be that human.
That's fair.
Anyway, should we get to Sunday?
Yep. So Sunday, I had to get up a little bit earlier, pack up the Airbnb, all that jazz.
The Airbnb then asked us to leave them a 5-star review to help their small family business, as though owning land is somehow a family business.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. We're debating whether or not we'll leave them a negative review.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, on Airbnb, anything that isn't 5 stars is considered negative, so
And we brought Emma with us into the con this day because obviously couldn't leave her anywhere else.
Yep.
She is trained and she is a service dog, but this is her first anime con.
Yeah.
So we're trying to be big careful with her.
Yeah. So once again, I'm just in basic civilian clothing, and you are in a relatively straightforward giant ball gown.
Yep. Just a butterfly dress. Got some compliments on it. We were playing a game of who gets complimented more today, me or Emma.
Yep.
I think a lot of people complimented both me and Emma.
Yeah,
I did appreciate
she won,
that.
She won, but it was real close.
It was. And a lot of people complimented us both. It was great. Thank you. So we weren't really finding a 10 o'clock panel we clicked with. We did eventually end in the Shonen Anime Debate and Minigames panel, which, despite not knowing anime, was a very well-run panel. I wish they had gotten a better time slot, because 10 a.m. on a Sunday is kind of not a great time slot.
Yeah, it was a very quiet panel, just in terms of the number of people who were there.
But it was very well run.
Yeah.
Like, it was a combination of debating, like, who's the better cook, Brock from Pokemon, or this other person who I didn't know.
It's the one who's played by someone.
Cool.
It's the guy from Delicious in Dungeon.
Oh, cool. And you could, like, debate that, and then they had mini games you could play, and, like, if you got the most points, you became the ultimate ninja. It was very fun and very well thought out.
Yeah. I wish they had a better time slot for it, so they had a larger audience.
Yeah. So into that for a bit. It was cute. Then we went to, I forget what the actual name of this was. It was by Paradox Panels. I remember the last name of the host was Poe, because he made several jokes about it, or Pope, he made several jokes about it.
This was a Naruto trivia panel.
Yeah.
We know exactly nothing about Naruto.
But it was fun to watch a bunch of people geek out about Naruto, the way you geek out about,
Naruto.
whatever. I said Naruto.
You said Naruto.
No, I
And
said
guarantee
toe.
you said two.
I was not.
I will check the audio.
I was not. It's not because I don't know how to pronounce Naruto. Shut up. I would curse at you right now.
I love you so
I don't
much.
know Japanese. Sue me. Anyway, it was fun to watch the chaos unfold.
Yes, it was.
The host had amazing energy. I would go to so many of the panels done by Paradox Panels.
They were great. The only issue we had with that one was that they were getting weird feedback throughout the whole panel, which was not their fault.
They commented on it. They said they were in this panel remote weekend, and that's more on the con's fault for not fixing that.
Yeah.
I will also say they were still not using the superior Jeopardy, which is just the online Jeopardy. Just Google online Jeopardy or Jeopardy template maker online. It gives you a great system to put on Jeopardy that works and makes it clear what categories have been used already.
Yep.
So don't fault anyone with it. I just don't know why more people don't do it.
I think people have just been doing it at cons with PowerPoints for so long that everybody assumes that's the way you're supposed to do it.
Yeah. So we stayed in that room because hosted by the same group with more people who are all part of, I think, the Paradox Panel group, which is this great group of just, I think, friends who run panels.
Yep.
All of which are very queer, and I'm sure they would not mind me saying that.
Again, it's the first day of Pride Month. They were very happy about that fact.
Yeah. And what better panel to be hosting than Ultimate Musical Theater Song Trivia?
Yep. Again, they freely admitted that they had an actual LGBT panel, and they saved this one for Pride Day because they were pretty sure it was going to be gayer. I think they were
this
right.
was the most theater kid thing that has ever happened, and I'd say this after we went to the in-character cosplay contest, which is already high levels of theater kid.
Yep.
This is the most theater kid thing that has ever happened. People in the room were harmonizing on songs.
Yeah, it was
for
great.
an hour. So it was vaguely musical theater trivia. It was also just an excuse for a bunch of musical theater kids to sing along with songs.
Yep. So again, round one, pretty simple. They'll play you the song, just name the musical it's from.
Yep.
You participated in that because this was a one where they had a group of people competing.
Yeah, and they had a little rounded table. I got to sit on the end because of my ball gun, and they were very accommodating of having Emma sit in my lap. And they checked in to make sure she was doing okay.
Yep.
It was very sweet. And I couldn't get any of the trivia. I knew some of the answers. It's just some of these people are, I'm going to say freaks in a non-derogatory sense.
They could do the thing that I can do sometimes.
Well, you do with TV shows where you can look at a still at a TV show and immediately know what show it is.
Yep.
Even if it doesn't have any of the characters and it's just a shot of the sky or something. They can hear one note and they're like, that is that thing.
Yep.
I did not mind losing that. It was amazing.
Then second round was same principle, but this time name the song.
Yep.
And again, they very deliberately said, if you participate in round one, please don't volunteer for round two unless there's nobody, unless we've got open chairs at the end. And same for round three, which was the right call. And then round three was finish the lyric. That was the one where there was a lot of singing going
they
on.
They played the time warp. Everyone sung that.
Yeah. Let's do time warp again.
Okay, it was just a blast of just manic, beautiful energy. I was so happy.
That was the point of the day when you got your con fuzzies.
Yes. And I will again shout out Paradox Panels. They seemed like a great group. I will definitely go to more of their stuff.
Yeah, they did great.
Then we went to Anime Wheel of Fortune.
Yep. Which was very fun, very silly. Again, somebody built basically Wheel of Fortune in PowerPoint.
Yep. I still don't know why like PowerPoint and Google Slides are like the go-to things for building stuff, but I
don't
guess
know
if it
either.
works for you, it's fine. But it was cute. They had like at least a dozen like different like Wheel of Fortune things.
Yep.
I will say the clues were pretty easy because like they gave you a hint for each category, which meant some of them were just actually most of them were just kind of solvable before you even like guessed anything.
Some of them were, some of them weren't.
But everyone, because the person who was running it, I'm going to use they them because I'm not sure.
Yep.
They were very excited that they built the wheel, which was a very fun wheel. So everyone was just like
yelling, wheel,
making it spinning and cheering. Like the wheel was a very big aspect, and it's just fun to be in a panel of people yelling wheel, wheel, wheel.
Yep. And again, this was one where it was just like taking audience, like, people sticking their hand up rather than having actual like competitors and teams. Which again, like,
it probably would have lasted longer had they had competitors and teams, but everyone seemed to be more in the mood to just shout wheel, wheel, wheel and guess stuff, which is fine. It's late Sunday at the con.
Yeah.
And we did meet the Hisune Miku, who won the cosplay last night, who only recognized us because of your British accent.
Yes. Technically, it was her handler, not the Miku. I think the Miku might have been 2 chairs further down.
It was a bit. Sorry, we're very bad at recognizing people unless they're in their specific cosplay outfits.
Yeah. Which again, to be fair, you've freely admitted that like you only recognized me because of my voice, so valid. But yeah. So again, that was fun. That panel did end up running pretty short. Like it was slated for 2 hours. It ran for like 50 minutes.
I think it would have lasted longer had there been more like guessing of letters as opposed to like giving hints for the categories and stuff like that. But I think it was fun to like figure it out together and stuff like that. And I was satisfied with it, and I didn't mind like an hour break because at that point we took him on a walk.
Yep.
And we just walked around the convention center. She got some pets.
Yep. Took her outside for a bit. You had fun with that, didn't you, dog?
Yes. That was my Emma voice.
Yeah, our dog did not actually just speak. But like most dog owners...
I like how you think somebody listening to this somehow thought that was Emma.
I mean, there's a non-zero chance. So, did you actually want to stop at Taco Bell?
I do, but we're still recording.
Maybe we can see how bad the queue is.
Okay.
So, anyway, what was the... after that, we went... So, yeah, we did a bit of a walk around, quick sit, got us some water, all of that jazz, and then we went to the Back to the Future panel.
Which is run by Pop Culture Choreography and Wetlands Ninja, our two friends. I'm starting out their handles just in case anyone who's listening wants to follow them.
Yeah.
And they are great panel presenters. I always love their panels.
They are. You can tell Bridget's an academic, I'm not going to lie.
Very good at explaining stuff, did research for the panel. We learned some new stuff about Back to the Future I didn't know before.
Yeah, I did not know there was a Back to the Future cartoon show.
And there was some general discussion about Back to the Future from the crowd too, which you contributed to.
Yep, yeah, I was commenting on my childhood memories of going on the Back to the Future ride. Because I did that, it was great. I'm sad it's no longer there.
That's fair. What did they replace it with again?
Simpsons ride.
Oh, it's lame.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a really good panel. I highly recommend their panels too. It's more of a lecture-based panel, which we tend to do less of, but we do like them when we know that the host has great stage presence.
And Bridget and James do.
Yes.
So, and again, that was a lot of fun. There was some good discussion of weird Back to the Future trivia and things like that. Yeah. Nice panel to kind of end with.
So we did briefly pop into the feedback panel, which is people who give feedback to the con. We appreciate when cons have these.
Yeah.
We didn't really stay for long because one had started like an hour earlier, so we don't really know what was discussed. By the time we had gotten there, they're mostly just talking about things they wanted added to the con.
Yeah.
Which is fine. They're also talking about getting a better map, which I think is also fine.
I would definitely say a better map would be nice.
Yeah. But we don't know where that discussion started or what was brought up before then. And while adding stuff to the con is nice, I'm more concerned about just space management at this point.
Yeah. Now, if they want to add more people and not cap ticket sales, more space generally. Again, I do think there were probably more people inside this year just due to the fact that it was a bit colder.
Yeah.
So it was harder to spend a lot of time outside, but who knows. But yeah, And at that point, we got in the car, got on the road home.
And we immediately began recording this.
Yeah, because that's how we roll. And here's the thing: we've mentioned before that this podcast is actually super useful for us because, for one thing, it keeps us awake on the drive home.
Well, it keeps us awake, and also, makes a drive where we have to almost drive to Pennsylvania on accident more bearable.
It's fine. Look, we'd have had to cut the episode real short if I hadn't got us lost. So yeah, I'm calling it serendipity.
You realize we pace these episodes based on how long the drive is, right? It's not an accident that we end when we get home pretty much every time.
Obviously, making the magic happen, yada yada yada. But we have a lot to say. Again, do we want to start talking about stuff we didn't do as we drive past Taco Bell to see how busy it is?
Yeah, sure. And then we'll get into top favorite moments either before or after we go to Taco Bell.
Yep.
Should we really go to Taco Bell again?
Why should we not go to Taco Bell?
They don't have vegetarian restaurants. So there's a lot of stuff we didn't do at this con. A lot.
Yep.
Obviously we didn't do any of the water park stuff at all.
Yep.
Or any of the drinking stuff. And I do want to emphasize that's a very big element of this con that we can't do.
Yep.
And I do want to emphasize that we therefore can't talk about how good this con is if that's what you want to do.
Yeah. People seem to be having fun drinking and going to the water park.
Yep.
That's about as specific on that as we can get.
And there are also 8 event rooms that are running events pretty much constantly for most days, 10 a.m. till 2 a.m.
Yep.
So, there's a lot of stuff that we did. They do have a couple things we went to in between things we didn't really talk about. So they have people just selling stuff in various capacities, different days.
No queue at the moment.
Yeah, you want to get something?
Yep.
So they have the Otaku Craft Fair and the Otaku Flea Market, both of which are days for smaller vendors who maybe can't afford a space in the vendors hall to set up. The Otaku Flea Market, at least, is very much like a giant garage sale.
Yep.
We need to pause.
We will do momentarily, unless they want to hear us putting an order in a Taco Bell. So yeah, we're gonna order some food for dinner, and we'll be right back. And we're back.
So the Otaku Craft Fair, we also have Taco Bell.
Yep.
It's irrelevant.
It's yeah, but it's now smelling. The car smells interesting, and Emma's very interested in it. They're not allowed in Emma.
So the Otaku Craft Fair is basically like I think the Otaku Flea Market, at least. I keep getting these mixed up. I'm not really entirely sure of their distinction. I assume Craft Fair is more like artisanal goods and Flea Market is more like garage sale.
Yep.
Both of which were extremely popular and heaving when they opened. Yeah. We went into the Otaku Flea Market when it opened. It was bonkers.
Yep.
You could not move through the room levels of bonkers.
Yeah. That was fun.
We tried to go in later at 1 o'clock, and people were already packing up, even though it's supposed to go until 4.
Yep. Because again, I think they'd sold most of their stuff.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And it's basic garage sale stuff where, some of it's fairly reasonably priced and a good deal. Others of it's kind of overpriced, but Yeah,
I saw somebody was selling a copy of the Rogue Trader hardback rulebook, which, if I didn't have my copy in the UK, because I brought my copy of that over with me, I'd have been tempted to buy that. Because it wasn't a bad deal. It was $60.
Yeah, that's fair.
It was about 50 quid when I bought it on eBay.
We bought more plush. We bought a lot of plush at this con.
Yeah, you got 7 plush at this con, honey.
I can do better.
Mm-hmm.
We also got a lot of free stuff at this con.
We did.
Including the Otaku Craft Fair did have just a free box, and I got a plush, I think, Squishmallow dog that looked like Emma.
Yeah.
For free.
Yeah.
I did ask before I took it. It was also in a box labeled free, though I didn't ask for it for free.
Yeah, it was in a box labeled free, and you were and they were like, there you go, yeah, take it. It's free.
So in addition to this, there were panels pretty much constantly. I don't really know if I even want to bother starting to shout out. There was the burlesque show we mentioned. There was an EMD dance, wrestling, which we talked about, K and J-pop dance contest.
Yep.
And a bunch of other stuff. Is there anything else you want me to shout out?
Nothing that particularly comes to mind. Again, there was so much stuff on this weekend.
A lot of plus 18 events, too. And we did talk about this. I don't think it makes sense for this con to maybe consider just having after 9 p.m. just be plus 18 hours only, because kids really shouldn't be at the con at that point.
Yeah, it's
People
what
are drunk. It's just make everything plus 18, and that would really cut down on lines, because you don't have to check everyone's IDs or wristbands. They do get plus 18 wristbands.
Yeah.
Before entering a panel, if it's just at that time slot, you have to like have a +18 respite to be in the space.
Yeah.
And you can just check it on the way in and save everyone, I think, a little bit more time.
It would. Yeah. But again, I because it gets pretty rowdy after a
I
certain
did see
point.
some kids, particularly during the day and Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the robot fighting was very kid friendly.
Yes. But a lot of the other stuff, I did not see a lot of kids at.
Yeah.
And I do think like later, like I don't have kids, but if I did, I would say I would not feel comfortable like having them at the con after a certain time period.
That's definitely true.
So, and there's a lot of stuff I'm not shouting out just because they had some DIY workshops. It's going to take me too long and be quite boring for me to read down a list of things. So if I didn't shout out your stuff, I am sorry. But we're also approaching home now, so we've still got a couple things to do, I think.
Yes. Favorite con moments?
Top favorite con moments.
Whose turn is it to go first?
We both know the first thing either of us is going to say this time.
Yeah.
So I feel like we just have to say it.
Yeah. It was the camaraderie backstage of the improv contest.
Yeah, the improv contest was amazing. I enjoyed it a lot just watching in 2023. But I enjoyed participating this year even more. Like, it was an amazing experience. Thank you, everyone, both like contestant and host and event runner and coordinator, for making that event happen.
Yeah.
You're the only con we found anywhere close to us that does this, and it's such an amazing, unique thing, and we love it.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, it puts the play back into cosplay.
Yeah.
You know? Plus, kissing you on a stage is always funny.
We always seem to end our skits with you kissing me.
Yeah, because it works. Again, as we pointed out, like, actually, the fact that we are married and are completely comfortable kissing on stage means we can do that, whereas most groups can't. So it always gets a good woo from the audience.
It's very fun.
Yeah.
And I will point out for that con, we did like the person who we were improving with. I did have you like touch her. I did get her consent before.
Yes. Yeah, we did. She basically said, you said, "Are you okay with either of us touching you?" And she said, "Yeah, that's fine."
Okay.
And again, like I when we say touching her, I mean I put a hand on her shoulder at one point.
Yeah, I mentioned kissing at some point, then quickly clarified, we'll kiss each other. No one's going to kiss you.
Yes.
It was fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Next favorite moment for you?
I'm honestly going to go with the cosplay dating game, which is right after that. I'm still on an emotional high, but the burlesque dancers were amazing. They were a really fun group, and they made it a comfortable and fun experience for everyone.
I'm gonna say doing nerdy trivia in the Federation room. Like I'm sorry. When the first question is name the 2 Starfleet officers that Tom Paris has got pregnant, and they're like, okay, you can, we're gonna give you some thinking time. I'm like, don't need it. We'll give it to you anyway. Cool, thanks.
Do you
want the character names or the actresses?
The person behind you who was in the Federation, which means they're a Star Trek fan, was just like, geez, at one point.
Yeah. Here's the thing. If you're a Star Trek fan, that's the reaction you want out of other Star Trek fans. Gosh. It's like, oh god, really? But yeah.
I will pick musical theater trivia. That was just I love being in a room full of theater kids who somehow have amazing energy when it's Sunday at a con. Like, that's amazing.
I'm gonna go with kind of. So it wasn't one specific moment, but it was the multiple moments in the hallway when people realized we were doing Glinda and Elphaba on Thursday, and just like getting that really good reaction out of them. Like a new costume, especially one that like required a certain amount of additional stuff or something we've never tried before, is always a bit of a nerve-wracking experience, and having people respond to it positively is always really nice.
So is that our top moments?
I believe that's our top moments, because we both decided we were just having one of them together.
Could not like have that be a double first place.
Yeah. So, is there anything else in particular we need to talk about?
You want to talk about him meeting dogs at drive-thru?
Yeah, Emma made dog friends at the drive-thru.
By the way, this is the third day in a row we've gotten Taco Bell because we're classy.
Yep. Well, again, there were limited options near our Airbnb because our Airbnb sucked. But yeah.
But yeah, we went to a Wendy's the first night.
Yeah, and we picked Emma up again. And yeah, so there were just a couple of dogs poking their heads out of another car that was in the drive-thru line, and there was doggy friendship.
Yep. She poked her head out, and the person who was in that car waved to us. That was much better than when Taco Bell forgot our order days later.
They didn't forget our order. I'm pretty sure they handed our order to the car in front of us.
And I got to watch a lot of people who were probably high panicking. It was fun.
It was great. It's fine. They're not going to hear this podcast.
Yeah.
And we haven't stipulated which Taco Bell it was, because while they know it's somewhere within a 20-minute drive of Colossal Con, that doesn't mean anything, because there was a Taco Bell in the other direction as well. So, any more?
Just remember, do not go to that Airbnb. So now we have to answer the question of would we come back to this con, which in this case is actually quite complicated.
Yeah, so here's the thing. There are certain events at this con that we really love.
Like the in-character cosplay contest.
Yeah.
But
it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. I will say, for the most part, stuff at this con just doesn't start on time. It just doesn't.
Yeah, like the burlesque show was actively running at least 20, maybe 30 minutes late in terms of when people were getting into it.
The artist alley, when I wanted to go down to show the person my frog dress, was not open at 10. Stuff is just running behind. Line management is, I think, better than it was in 2023, but it's still pretty bad.
It's better than it was, but the sheer fact that people are lining, I don't even want to know how long the line for the cosplay contest got. I'm pretty sure it was snaking around the entire building.
And there's not a different place. I'm glad that they have accessible seating, but they don't really have any place to put people who need the accessible seating while they're waiting outside of the venue. And that's kind of a problem.
Yeah. Again, it's a con that's outgrown its venue, but it's also a con that can't change its venue because its venue is a big part of the reason why people go to it.
Yeah.
Unless the Kalahari wants to invest in making itself bigger for what would apparently be the third time to support this con, it ain't getting any bigger.
And I will say, for us, I think this was definitely better than it was in 2023. I heard some people commenting that they felt that,
it wasn't as good as last year.
It wasn't. I have no way to verify that or not. I do think it is just something because of this con. It's a bit disorganized and it's very massive, so your mileage is just gonna vary.
Yeah.
I understand why it's some people's favorite con. I really do.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's certainly not one of our favorites. It's a con we can have fun at.
Yeah, that's proven. I had more fun this weekend than I expected to, and I do think that's a testament to them putting in some work to make it more enjoyable.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's expensive. It's still a party con. The emphasis is never going to be on the stuff that we like.
Yeah.
And that's as it should be. Not all cons need to be catered to us specifically.
Yeah. It's also, again, it's a 2.5 hour drive. Okay. This podcast episode is going to be longer than that because I got us lost on the way home, but that's fine.
Yeah, it's really a 4-hour drive.
It wasn't 4 hours.
I love you.
I love you too.
And as we mentioned before, our incredibly scientific ranking of would we go back to this con is not necessarily an endorsement or a de-endorsement of the con, because specific factors in our lives, like how far it is from our house, obviously are going to be different for you.
Yep. If this is local to you...
Yeah, you should definitely go.
Yeah.
If it was local to us, we would definitely go.
If I could walk home without having to worry about, being drunk off my ass, I would totally do that.
Yeah.
Actually, that's not a thing I can do in the US, because...
They had a bus outside. I saw people waiting for it.
Yeah. It's mostly just to get... In the UK, whenever I was...
We don't need to talk about the UK being superior. Let's just move on.
It's fine. Mostly I used to walk home from... Anyway.
We've got 2 minutes to finish up this episode.
Yeah.
Emma's not going to let us stay in the car and keep recording.
No, that is fair. Also, my phone battery is very nearly dead.
So if this episode has an abrupt ending, you know why.
Yep. But yeah. So, would we go back next year? I think it's on the strong maybe list.
Yeah. I do think if we got into the in-character cosplay contest, that might tip it over.
Yeah, we're going to apply again next year. We already have ideas.
Well, if we're in the country.
If we're in the country. And if we get in, we'll go. If we don't, we'll see what's on that weekend and if there's anything closer or because the other issue is, again, it's a 4-day con. Getting that, like additional time off work or like working, remotely it's not a great solution, and we do like long term. I need to argue more, with my work for that. So
it's partially that. It's partially like I like being able to go to events, and it is something for which we didn't go to any of the plus 18 stuff.
Again, we went to just one plus 18 thing.
I will say that like being in a crowd of people who are drunk when you're not drunk is either great, funny, and hilarious, or really terrible. There's no in between.
Yep.
And like that's a lot of the appeal of this con, and it's hard to like wait for 20 minutes to get into an event, only be let down by it, especially when the event's something like drunk trivia or something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, again, this con's on the strong maybe list. There's a bunch of factors that kind of go into that, but we'll see. But we had fun.
We did.
If you met us at this con and decided to listen to this podcast, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Remember, what's the code phrase? I already forgot it.
Crap. I'm going to have to write these down.
Wasn't it like metrics or something?
Metrics matter.
Metrics matter. So yeah, if you say that to us at a con, we'll hopefully have it written.
Yep.
We're really together. We did have fun this weekend. They really need to fix that strip of road.
Yeah.
Stop skidding on it.
I really hate that pothole.
You could go around the other way.
I usually remember to, but I'm tired.
And this is a very tired episode of the Con Couple podcast.
Yeah.
So join us next week for WeebCon Indy. Hopefully we can get a dog sitter for that one.
Yep.
Also, that Airbnb doesn't have any reviews yet because it's new, and I'm worried they're going to murder me.
Look, I've already promised that I will defend you from murderers.
Not if you're asleep, you won't.
It's fine. So yeah. Hopefully, next week we will be talking about WeebCon Indy and we won't have been murdered in a new Airbnb.
If we have and you're somehow listening to this podcast in memoriam, that's cool, I guess.
Thanks. Remember us as better people than this podcast implies. Oh, God.
We're home.
We're home.
So thank you, dear listeners. I hope you enjoyed this 3-hour chaotic episode of the Con Couple podcast. We're going to go eat Taco Bell again.
Yeah, well, I need to unload the car first, but oh, God. Bye, all. Thank you for listening.
Bye.